In a world where space and time are intertwined, one man dared to challenge the status quo. His name? Dayton Miller. His weapon of choice? A flute. But not just any flute. This instrument held the power to unleash the ether, a pervasive medium once thought to fill the universe. Miller, a physicist by trade, a musician at heart, discovered a harmonic resonance within the ether. He found that his flute, when played with precision, could manipulate this elusive medium. His melodies, a symphony of science, had the potential to shift the very fabric of reality. However, a sinister force lurked in the shadows. The Einsteinian demons. These creatures thrived in the distortion of space-time, causing chaos and disruption. The world needed a hero, and Miller was ready to answer the call. With his flute in hand, Miller played a tune that echoed through the cosmos. Each note, a shot of pure ether, struck the Einstein.
Hello and welcome everyone to Aether Cosmology Community Twitter Night. We're going to be joining Brian's Twitter space here, see what's up with the lads and ladettes. I hope everyone had a good week. Thank you for joining us on this glorious Friday. Let's see what the lads are up to.
To be fair, those are some of the top Globers.
That was just sad. Are they really the top Globers?
Yo, my man said top Globers. Like there's your regular standard issue Glober grunt, right? And then there's the tier 1 operator Glober, right? This is known as the Globe Dumpster or Globe Gangster or whatever. Is that what we're talking? Is that what just happened? Did you guys just get GG'd? Did the globularist SAS just throw a flashbang in here and clear the room? Did you guys just get swept up or what? What happened?
Well, we had Mord1 in here and Omni, and of course Peter Globinski, and
I like one of those dudes. One of those dudes is a pretty cool lad. I'll let you guys figure. It's Mord1. He's pretty cool. It's pretty cool guy.
He left rather abruptly.
Dude, I'd like to think he left abruptly because he's got stuff to do.
Yeah, I don't think it was that case. That was not the case. But he got upset. I forget what it was he got upset about, but he's like, you guys just don't understand. He got mad because Heffron wrote a book. He didn't quite like the process, the thought process in the book there. So, of course, this was wrong. And
his book on the measurements or whatever and the constants.
Something I forget what the name of it was. He said only 10 people read it, and I was like, "So,
dude, I'm one of the 10."
Which book is it?
It's the Ramblings of an Old Man. I think it's the. One second, let me go grab it. I own a copy, boys. I'm one of the 10 who bought it.
Well, there's the Ramblings of an Old Man, the prime number 17, Ramblings of an Old Man, the Scientific Method, and then Luminiferous Ether. Those are the only ones I know about.
Wait, who wrote these books?
Heffron, Dr. Mike Heffron. I bought all 3 of them. That's the only 3 I saw.
All right, so the Luminiferous Ether one goes over some really interesting constants. And then the Scientific Method one does the same, but it goes over more of the I forget the name of it, but there's a table of all the units of measurement or whatever, like the exact values down to the X amount of decimal place, and he goes over all of those, but I forget the name of it.
Yeah, he was more.
That's the Ramblings of an Old Man on the Scientific Method.
Yeah.
Yeah, he was saying that I believe it was he's a liar or something like that.
Oh, that's what's one man's opinion or whatever.
He said it was all
That's
wrong.
What I said. That's what I said.
Brian said it was all wrong. And you're like, what was wrong? And he couldn't like draw up anything.
He said he didn't like some conclusions. I forget exactly what it was, but I was like, so what exactly are you not liking here? He's like, oh, I can't handle this, and he just left.
Dude, speaking of disagreeing with conclusions, dude, you remember that time that lad looked up at the stars with his telescope and he filled his telescope with water to see if the position would change, and it didn't? And then everyone disagreed on the outcome, so they just like philosophically came up with a way to interpret it where air and water would produce the same result if the earth was in motion. Like when we reach a disagreement with these lads, sometimes we just got to be like, we just got to shake hands and be like, hey, let's agree to disagree, or whatever that expression is when you can't go any further.
Right?
Agree Peter brought up something today that involved your name, Alan.
Oh.
Because we were discussing the celestial theodolite, which I know I explained 5 more times to him. Because he just kept asking questions to the point I got upset about it. But then we brought up Jesse Path of Light entered the conversation, and I mentioned that he had showed up when Heffron had given his presentations, and how Peter was noticeably absent. And then he brought up the fact that Jesse Path of Light pointed out that Heffron did something wrong, and that you and him went over the math and determined that he did do it wrong. And so everybody's in agreement, including Alan, that Dr. Mike Heffron was wrong. So since I know Peter likes to make the story sound good the way he wants to, I wanted to ask you, now that you're here, what is this all about?
So the beginning formula that he used to derive the globular prediction was for globe slant, was using the arc sine. So what he was doing was essentially taking like the angle difference and then just subtracting it from the flat Earth prediction, and it worked for the first thing. And then for the second one, it like disagreed a little bit, and then for other ones, it disagreed. So when you use the 8" per mile square formula or whatever, it works out fine. Oh yeah. So it wasn't just that; it was the way he was doing it, with just taking that angle and then adding the 15 arc minutes for celestial refraction. That worked flawlessly for the first one, but then it was off by a little bit on other ones, right? But then when you do the 8" per mile squared, it's perfect every single time. So that's and here's the thing though, like triangle wise, that the way that he was doing it, like other people who are, more into trigonometry than me are like, yeah, that's perfectly valid. But I don't know why it doesn't, why it's not right or whatever. But anyway, he updated the formula in his new PDF way before Jesse and I even ever spoke of it, before we started going over it. And his new spreadsheet already covers all of that using the popular globular approximations. So the formula change doesn't save them. Like it's nice to point out. It's good to have the accurate one or whatever, but it doesn't, like they're not saved.
The smallest angle with the smallest distance, because it was an approximation due to the small angle formula. So he'd pick up all the smallest angles and go, look, it matches the globe here.
That was something. That was a different thing. But
yeah, but I mean, like, this is the type of stuff that Jesse would be like, look, he was wrong about this thing. Therefore, anytime you bring it up, this is what I'm going to say, and I'm going to pretend like this solves the whole thing, even though it has nothing to do with the results, even though every prediction is still the flat Earth prediction, save none. So, I don't know.
Yeah.
Well, then I answered him properly then, because I told him that I didn't know anything about it, and that I'm sure if he was, wrong about something, he would correct it. I said, but, it still comes down to you're making a flat Earth prediction, finding what your angle would be on a plane to that mountaintop, and then, getting that timing measurement. And, he was kind of upset about that. And I said, look, just, you can use your refraction, you can use your curvature, you just got to make it disappear at that time. That's it. And your globular problems are solved. but nobody wants to hear that.
Dude, that's why I like to frame it in this way only, right? Is he guilty or is he not guilty? You got to put the analogy with the camera exactly at the mountain peak, with the suspect being the star, the occlusion time being, look, if he's guilty, he's here at this time. If he's at any other time, not guilty. Super easy.
All right, lads. Speaking of guilty, not guilty, in the, what do you call it? The Jumbotron. I put a link to Mike's most recent spreadsheet and formula in said spreadsheet. Oh, actually, let me add the other one too. Google Spreadsheets, star measurements, because what I gave a link to is just the PDF. I have the actual spreadsheet functions too, so I attached that on there as well. You guys can swoop that up. But anyway, what we're looking at here is his corrected version for how he's deriving the flat Earth elevation angle and how he's deriving the globe Earth prediction. So there was a change here in the calculation, right? So the big patch note change of note here in Celestial Theodolite 3.0 is we have the table below calculates the altitude of peak, which is equal to the altitude of the observer plus the distance to the peak times the tangent of the true elevation of the occluded star. So whatever the angle is that the star actually got occluded at, what he's going to do is he's going to backwards solve for what the altitude of that mountain would be to do that occluding, to complete that angle, because he knows the distance to said mountain, he knows his elevation, and then the angle. So we're going to solve for what the mountain peak would be, what that exact elevation is. And then so we have what the official numbers, you can look them up on Wikipedia for these peaks. So what he's doing is he's comparing the official peak altitude that's given to us to the timing and the angle, or to the angle, to the elevation that is produced by computing this angle relationship here and the distance away from the mountain. And what he's finding out is that it's off, right? It's he either ends up measuring it like plus 30 to 50 feet above what the official thing is. But in any case, in the column that's noted in the green column where it says flat delta alt, that's the plus or minus value that he's measuring in elevation with respect to the official altitude that they give. And then to the right of that, we have d squared over 2r, which is the globular approximation of 8 inches per mile square, accounting for how much of that mountain peak would be missing if ball curve at that, with respect to that distance. And so you'll note that all of these red columns, that's how much should be missing. And then you'll note the globe delta alt, right, is adding the flat Earth difference to that. And what you're seeing here is how these mountain peaks are occluding stars at a time way earlier than what the globe would predict, because the globe would predict that the star has to get lower in the horizon to set into the mountain. But we're seeing here that these elevations don't correspond to globularity at all. Now, there's a couple scenarios where it's even off on what the flat Earth predicts it would be, and that's noted by these plus or minus columns. So you'll see here there's some negative values, but they're green. The negative values are where the altitude or the elevation of the mountain was less than what is reported, but it's still not, doesn't, like, the globe difference is still there on the right. So it's still not what the globe says. So that's just, it's just showing that some of these elevations are off by a little bit, and because the true elevation of it is what's occluding that star. So this is what this is showing. So some of these are off by 40 to 50 meters, which is pretty crazy. Pretty crazy. But anyway, this is already fixed and accounted for in his data. And so that is where we are at with it.
It certainly doesn't fix any of the examples being flat Earth and not globe, right? And that doesn't even make
Yeah,
one of
so
them edge
yeah,
over.
so the big distinction here is that if we moved from analyzing just the angle relationship, because like Shane was saying, when you look into just the angles, because they get really close together and they're small, some of them overlap and give the appearance that could be some globularity there. So instead, we're now deriving what the elevation would be based off of that and comparing the actual elevations based on globular figures. And what we're producing is showing that the Euclidean, or I'm sorry, that the spatial field of this realm that we live in is Euclidean, which means it's planar. The curvature is optical. The curvature comes from, what's that thing on your face? You have two of them. Your oculars. Your Akis.
Your Akis, he says. It's Akis.
Yeah, I thought we were gonna come in here and all the worst globers would still be here. It would be fun, right? You got Mord One, you got Peter, your position is my position, you got Omnivore. Let me ask questions about everything and pretend that I don't understand anything until you fucking hate me. Hate that guy.
Citation. That's all he kept doing.
I mean, dude, we're in a Candyman situation here. Like, let's not summon them, right?
Say the names. All right, I said them once. I said them all one time.
This is a real Beetlejuice type thing here, or whatever. I'm running out of movie references where if you name the bad man, he comes and kills you. But this is a real. Yep, that's the one. That's a classic.
Jesse, Path of Light would just be like, so.
God damn it, Shane! We only got one more.
Beetlejuice.
Damn it, Shane. We only got one more.
We have to knock on wood or throw salt over our shoulders or something.
If everyone spins 3 times and spits in your left palm, it should be good.
Oh, Jesse, Path of Light is here.
Is that Tobethius Maximus Decimus Meridius in the chat?
Summoned him.
He's in the chat.
Dude, I see Toby in the chat, bro.
Yeah.
Do we have Toby down here?
No.
He's in YouTube chat.
Toby or like the replica one?
It's Tobethius Decimus Maximus Meridius. Say, Shane, you summoned Jesse, Path of Light.
What's up,
Look what you've done. Look what you've done.
Gentlemen.
Hola, senor.
Welcome to the show.
Thank you. I was very impressed with Dr. Heffron's recent video, March 23rd from, at Greenhorn Mountain, for sure.
Did it match the globe?
Well, no, but it matched a concave Earth with a 8,000-mile radius.
So it matched not the globe.
Yeah, but it didn't match flat Earth either.
Well, the flat Earth prediction is still planar. So if it didn't match the globe, then it doesn't mean that the Earth has an inverted radius of 8,000 miles. That's retarded.
Well, really?
Yeah.
I mean, if the Heffron method is consistent and reliable, then it should work in the Greenhorn Mountain situation, right? It should match the flat Earth prediction within the margin of error, right?
It is consistent and reliable. What's off would have to be the official elevation that they give us. When you look at that column, those plus or minuses are with respect to the official elevation angle. So that's the purpose of this. If it's off, it doesn't mean the Earth's concave, my dude.
So you think the mountain is 2,000 feet taller than it's published to be?
If that's what the new measurement shows.
Do you really think that the mountain's 2,000 feet taller than it's published to be? That's a significant amount, and that is what the measurement shows.
If that's what the measurements show.
Yeah, but 4,000 feet too high would be a perfect inside-out globe of the 3959 radius. So it's like it's halfway between a perfect inside out globe and flat Earth. That's kind of ambiguous, don't you think?
No.
Well, so how far off would it have to be before you thought maybe the method didn't work reliably?
It would have to start matching the globe. The fact that it doesn't match the globe is the point here. I don't care if it's off by the flat Earth prediction. It's not even close to the globe.
But if it gives values that are wildly different than flat or globe, then couldn't that mean that it's just an invalid method?
Nope.
So is it an unfalsifiable method? Is there any test we could do that would show that it was just an invalid method?
The measurements are what they are.
So what if it gave 10,000 feet too high or 20,000 feet too high?
But are they?
But it's here's the thing, it's not. And if it gave measurements that agreed with the globe, I'd be here bodying every motherfucker in this chat as a glober. But they're not. So none of what you're saying fucking matters. Show me some globe times, or this line of questioning is, I'm getting bored.
Say that again. What would you do if it matched the globe?
I would be in here bodying everybody as a glober.
Okay, what if only some of them match the globe, but not all of them?
How come we're doing what if scenarios right now?
Probably wouldn't be bodying them.
Yeah, I mean, what's going on? What are we doing? What's the what if game?
No, I analyzed the formula, the underlying formula of the Heffron method, and the farther it is, the more extra elevation it gives, and the closer it is, the more missing elevation it gives. At a certain distance, it matches flat Earth approximately in a given situation, and at a different certain distance, it matches the globe Earth. So when somebody goes at that distance and gets a globe result, which I have high confidence that will happen because all of Dr. Heffron's measurements that he showed by video matched the apparent angles predicted by Stellarium, which means I can use Stellarium to find out where I need to go to get a globe matching result using the Heffron method. So that's why I'm asking, what will be the response when that happens?
Just waiting for you to do it.
Yeah, let's see it. Let's see it, man. This what if scenario you got going on. What if I could do everything that I say I can do? Would that be impressive? That's what you're
Jesse,
saying.
is he guilty or is he not guilty? I didn't get your answer.
You never clarified that one very well.
No. I'm just kidding. I did get your answer. You said they were both two different scenarios and they're both not guilty and equally guilty at the same time. It was the most paradoxical horseshit I've ever heard. That's why I distinctly remember it.
Some Schrodinger cat action.
Did he do some spenny space-time stuff on you? Some relativity? Is that what he did? Is there, not there? Did he do some Schrodinger stuff on you, man? Man, did he dead catch you?
Well, no, there is the distinct possibility that the method is simply invalid in that it doesn't give Earth shape or give, drop over distance either way, and that at certain situations it matches flat Earth, at certain situations it matches globe Earth, at other situations it matches neither.
So what does it match more of the time though? And just real quick, you think the further you go away, then
hold on, dog. None of those timings match the globe, to be clear. There's a literal fucking spreadsheet we can see that the missing elevation that the globe predicts. None of those are there. The fact that the elevations, the official elevations are not being or are off, has nothing to do with it being wrong, right? The star gets occluded or it doesn't. That's it. The measurement is what it is, dog, and none of them comport to globularity.
Well, one of them was about equidistant between flat and globe and was closer to globe, right?
No.
No.
Well,
Wait. The Bludgeon at Peak one with the thing that was fucked up. Yeah, that one. I don't know. There was that one. But the thing is though, the two columns are basically opposite of each other. So not sure what mistake was made there, but I'm guessing that the one observation that has the inverted column table is a mistake.
well, but I've reworked those from the ground up, not relying on Dr. Heffron's math because I know his math, and so I did it for myself. And if you were to actually rework that, you would find that Blodgett Peak was in fact closer to the globe. And what about Cheyenne? That one was about equidistant, slightly closer to flat Earth, but almost equidistant, right? 5.6 versus 5.8 arc minutes of difference.
Probably, yeah.
Okay, so we've got two.
Oh, no globularity there though.
Yeah, but we've got ambiguity. If the method.
No, listen, dog. You either have a globe time or you don't, though. So like, there's no real ambiguity for me. There's you trying to muddy the water and obfuscate and be weird and talk about his formula not matching at different distances. Bro, it gives the same approximation up to like 300 miles before there's a deviation. It's fine. You're being ridiculous.
Well, but one of the Cheyenne stars was closer to the globe than to flat. So if some method is not, if
Buddy,
not,
there's a fucking average table. You picked out one of the set. Like, I don't give a fuck, Jesse. Move on quickly, bro. I'm losing my patience with this. You're talking about one fucking time out of an average set? Come on.
well, but my point is that if a method is close to halfway between the two hypotheses,
but it's
and
not.
it just depends on random chance which side it actually falls on.
That happened one time though.
But it's not, and it's averaged
many
out.
times.
So your premise is retarded, and we're about to move on hard, dog.
Okay, happened twice.
It's like you picked one anomaly, but statistically, it's overwhelmingly flat, right?
No.
Come on, guys. He's grasping at straws. There's only one straw to grasp at. Don't get mad at him for grasping at it.
About to bring his own straw.
I blame you for this, Shane. I blame you for this. You said his name 3 times.
Look, TM Beetlejuice the shit out of it as soon as you said Beetlejuice. He was like, I love that movie.
God damn it, TM.
Shit, my bad, guys.
Well, I am trying to get set up and waiting for better weather, and I'm going to try to get some ones at a bit closer distance myself. So
nice.
We'll
When you do it, could you frame it as if in a guilty crime scene, and that there's a camera at the peak, and then you could tell me that you found someone who's not guilty, and I would love to see that. That'd be sweet. Right, that means you have to provide an occlusion timing match in the globe exclusively just one time, and then people will care.
The only man I ever met who was guilty, not guilty, was O.J. Simpson. Goddamn legend.
Quit.
The juice, they called him.
Well, I got a question. You said at a closer range. How close are you talking about?
So it depends on the elevation, because part of the effect is from the amount of astronomical refraction. So at Dr. Heffron's elevation, I think if he were to go to, I think it was Blodgett Peak, but get closer, get about 16 or 17 miles away, I think he would probably get very close to globe results. For me, I would probably need to be a bit farther because I'm at a lower elevation.
Well, the reason I asked is because from my very limited understanding of this, is that you want to be at a sufficient distance that curvature would have to be a factor if it's truly a globe. You want to be far enough away that there's curvature there that should throw that flat Earth prediction off. And I would assume that if you get close enough, that difference starts to disappear between a globe and a curve.
Well,
So if you don't have sufficient curvature factor for a globe, then at some point you can like stand. I'm sure I could stand a mile away from a building and it wouldn't be much different from a globe, right? I wouldn't be showing too much.
I think if you did it a mile away, you would get results that were far smaller than even the mainstream claimed globe.
Right. Well, I mean, at a mile, you're talking about 8 inches, right? You're not really going to effectively get too much, right? The farther you get away, the more curvature is involved in a globe, the farther the two things should be. So ideally, if it is a globe, you want to be so far away that there's lots of curvature that a flat Earth prediction could never match. I mean, that's just from my limited view. Maybe I'm wrong.
Well, I've picked out a spot in my hometown, actually the next city over, that is 24.7 miles from a hill. And Stellarium tells me that it would be 1.6 arc minutes below the globe prediction using the Heffron method, and 12.4 arc minutes below the globe prediction, and 12.4 arc minutes below the flat Earth prediction. So I haven't gone out there yet, but I do plan to, and we'll see. It's interesting though, because Stellarium matches. It correctly predicts the occlusion time and angle of all of Dr. Heffron's videos. So it stands to reason that Stellarium is accurately predicting the occlusion time and angle that I will get in this location that's 24.7 miles from me. Is 24.7 miles a decent distance?
Yes.
Okay.
That was like his original distance, wasn't it? From
30.
I know it's
Pike.
50.7 kilometers, whatever that comes out to in miles.
Doesn't that come out to like 30 something miles? It's pretty close.
31 and a half, yeah. But he's about 7,000 foot elevation. I'm near sea level. So that makes a difference.
Tomato, potato.
What if you had an argument, Jesse? What if?
Yes.
A lot of
sir.
what ifs out there.
Yo, Shane, speaking of what ifs, what if the Royal Society and the lads got together and interjected 1,000 years into the old timeline?
Well, how would you be able to tell if you don't know what the fuck time it is in the first place or whatever? Or you'd have no idea like
Dude.
how to tell time.
That's crazy thought right there.
Well, thanks, gents. I'm going to get back out while the weather's nice and see if I can finish my project.
Later, lad.
Bye, Jesse.
You enjoy your project.
He sounded so sad, Shane. Like, bye, Jesse.
Bye, Jesse. Say hi to Mordwan for us. He left just as fast as he did.
Tell Morty I said what's up.
He's in the listener section. He can hear us.
Does Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde himself show up?
Morty.
Is he down there again?
He's down there.
Uh-oh. Somebody said his name 3 times.
I bet it was TM. You just had it muted, but it still counted.
Yo, Suwoo! Or whatever.
How you guys doing?
What's up, dog?
Not much. Chilling.
Did you go in your cleanse or whatever? Were you taking part in non-flirt February, or are you doing your own personal cleanse of us?
Oh no, it wasn't you guys. I had to cleanse myself of demons. So more serious matters. Yeah.
Had to cop an exorcism.
Yeah. It's a process though.
Well, I got a question for Mordwan. Peter's promising us a July surprise.
Oh,
Are
yeah.
you part of that?
I can neither confirm nor deny the existence of a July surprise.
What in the world would take me 3 months to do? I wonder. Thinking about it,
Yeah.
I guess I could write like a whole new language and then tell a joke at your expense in that new language, right? That would take about 3 months.
Yeah. Yeah, maybe. You could make different words, like banana could be like, palela, for
Yeah, you
example.
could do like a whole VLOOKUP table that would cross-reference keys, and then I
Oh,
could,
wow. Look at you.
literally transcribe my way to a new language and insult you guys that way. That wouldn't take 3 months, is the point, I guess, is what I'm trying to make. What the hell are you guys talking about? In July, I'll have something for you.
Yeah. Well,
Is it like, what is it? Is it like a gift?
like I said, I
Morty,
don't
you know
even
I don't like guessing.
Well, I don't even know if what you're talking about exists. I mean,
I can neither confirm nor deny what we're even talking about.
yeah, I can't even confirm or deny if I'm even really here right now.
To be clear, I honestly have no idea what the fuck we're talking about. I just started chiming in, so.
Yeah.
Same.
No, it was it's strictly Peter's thing. He told me a few weeks ago, so it's probably closer to 4 months to bring to fruition. But he just said that it doesn't, because I thought it applied to the celestial theodolite, and he said, "Oh, no, it's much bigger than that. The celestial theodolite will be the cherry on top."
Mm-hmm. And perhaps there's a Sunday, and perhaps there isn't. Perhaps the cherry is existing in a superposition of states on top of the Sunday, and also not on top of the Sunday.
That's what I thought you were. My bad, Alan. Go ahead.
I was gonna say there's multiple Sundays occurring on top
Yeah.
of each other.
Yeah, exactly.
I was gonna say I knew he was going with matrix simulation theory.
There you go. Yeah. Oh. So, quick question. Can we now put to bed with the acceptance, whatever? I'm not going to get into the technicals of Heffron stuff because I honestly haven't looked at it. So, but can we come to a common
Wait, I thought you did look it up, Morty. You were talking about it earlier today. You were so confident on it.
Yeah, I mean,
I said Ruhip sent me some stuff.
Well, that's.
I know, but you were defending Ruhev's position, but you kind of made it appear as though you understood the argument. Now you don't understand the argument.
You know what, TM? I'm going to give you a gift because it's Holy Friday. You can win this debate with me.
Okay, you may continue.
You win, TM. And that is my gift to you today.
Well, what was the book that he wrote that she called him a liar on, or whatever?
Oh, well, you want to talk about that? I mean, so
I just want to know the book.
Maybe I'm being unjust to him. His book, so his claim to me on Twitter, it just is wildly implausible.
What's the name of the book?
It's something about his Aether theory, constants, and I don't know.
Dude,
Lumina. Pull it up. It was like 6 months ago that I talked to him about it. I don't remember the details. It was literally in November. I was coming back from vacation.
Dude, one of his books is like, I read it, or not. One of his presentations, at the end of it, I was like, what the fuck did he just say? And we were like, I have no idea. Oh, okay, great. Because
you seem to have pretty strong feelings about it, and that's why you wouldn't look at this other observation. You didn't even read his book?
No, I didn't. No.
Why are you so upset about it?
Well, not upset about that. So what I was upset about was specifically him accusing NIST of intentionally fabricating results.
Well, how do you know if you didn't read the book?
Because I've talked to him about it on Twitter extensively, and he didn't provide any supporting evidence.
But you didn't read the book. What if you did?
Do you want me to go read his book and come back to you?
Well, I mean, if you're going to be mad at the book, don't you think you should be reading it?
I'm not mad at books. I respect all.
You're mad at books. I said this book you seem to have an issue with, but you haven't even read it.
Well, no, I'm not. That's not what I said.
But you have read it?
No, that's never what I said, bro.
Dude,
what I said was,
you came in here saying that he was some fraud or lying about some shit, and you're not going to look at this other stuff, and you haven't read his book?
He accused NIST of fraud, and he hasn't been able to support that contention.
How do you know if you didn't read his book?
Because I've talked to him about it, and I
so
asked
what?
him for
you talked to him on
evidence.
a subject you haven't even read his book about.
Oh,
How do you
wow.
know?
So
How do
I
you know
guess
he
I
didn't
gotta
tell
go
you
read his
exactly what
book.
you needed to know?
Oh, I see one tweet between you and him back on December 28th, 2024, when you said, "Here is what you said specifically on NIST. Accusations of fraud still unsupported." And then he
Correct.
says, NIST admits the data is manipulated, yet they fail to explicitly warn people their data is manipulated. That's already impacting people who trusted their data.
Sure.
And then
so
you said, naturally, you won't be able to tell me the company name, Tweedledee, Tweedledee, tee. You didn't say the last. I embellished a little bit.
I should have, though. I should have.
And then yes, I see the conversation, and I think that dude, my first impulse was this dude doesn't even go on Twitter. I think he likes like one thing a month. I was like, how did you have an extended conversation with him on Twitter? So in his replies, I see this conversation. It's like 7 tweets, dude, and he definitely answered every single one.
Oh, well, yeah, but where is the actual evidence of NIST manipulating? Can you point me to that specifically?
I can't find any professional website for you indicating that you have relevant experience in this area. Is that what you're talking about?
Do you have relative experience? Is that where you're going to go with this?
Well,
Hold on. One thing on a tangential note. I almost just said relative experience, and I just realized you don't live in West Virginia, so you probably don't have that.
Decent joke.
Yeah, it was all right. It was okay. It's all right.
It's just, I'm a pragmatic.
I thought it was going.
Is that young Mordwan on the mic?
I was thinking Einstein, and I was like, well, I'm kind of close anyway.
Yeah.
Did he answer your original objection?
I wrote some rhymes for a globe versus flat rap battle, by the way.
Spit it, dog.
How come you didn't put it into Suno AI to dazzle people yet?
Send it.
Oh, I don't know. Oh, you want me to get my rhymes? Let me find it. My rhyme book. Oh shit.
You got a rhyme book, dude? That's some Eminem shit. I've seen 8 Mile.
No, I have it on a note on my iPhone.
Do you jot down your rhymes while you're on the bus to your job at the factory? Yes. Like it's a hard dead end job, but like, you know, you got to make money for your little sister or whatever.
Yeah, exactly.
But your passion lies in poetry, and you just see the world in rhymes. Like, you know, you're like, is how I make orange and door hinge rhyme, you know, and you're like, it's a or hinge or whatever. Lyrical mastermind, Brody.
Right, but okay, I'm not gonna just spit though unless I have someone to come down on the other side.
Oh, do you need a beat or what?
Oh, you can give me a beat. Hold on.
Shane, drop that beat. You like how I just put Shane on the spot to do it instead of me?
Yeah, exactly. You got to do that. All right, let me find it.
Is Shane our neighborhood Eminem?
Oh shit, your boys got it.
Oh shit, fuck! I just spilled water everywhere.
Is that shit? Is that shirt, jacket, pants man or whatever?
Shirt, jacket, pants man.
Dude, you don't know about jacket, shirt, pants man?
No,
jacket, shirt, pants.
Dude, I'll send it to you in a second.
Is he doing the beatbox there?
Dude, Michael Heffron destroyed you in this tweet, by the way. I read this whole chain. Yeah, you didn't do shit. All you did was try to poke little holes and ask little bitchy questions, and he was actually being genuinely nice, trying to help you. And he assumed that you were confused because of the retarded questions you were asking him. And he was like,
So where can I find the admission from NIST that they manipulated the data?
Well, he said it's right in his book, which has the very few references to NIST, so that would be a good source of information to start with. And then you said, I find it odd that you're not giving it to me right now. And it's
yeah, well, that is a little odd, isn't it?
Well,
so you're admitting though you said you read his book, right, Shane?
No. You just said it's not in there, and you said you didn't read the book.
So I listened to his presentation on it. No, he gave us the
so you didn't read the book either. No, so you have no basis of fact for this conversation, do you?
Well, I read your entire conversation. That's why it's public. I'm exactly as caught up as you are.
Well, actually,
where is the actual?
I don't need to read the book to realize that you're sitting here saying that you disagree with his premise of the book when you haven't even read the book, so you can disagree with it.
And more pressing matter has now come to the front. I have tweeted where you can find the relevant information about pants, jacket, shirt man.
Excellent.
Okay.
So it's up in the Jumbotron. Get acquainted with our boy, and we can all be culturally enriched.
Gotcha.
Is there any chance that Dr. Heffron stated whereabouts in the book it was at? Because I've got the book in front of me. I haven't read it yet.
Oh, cool. Why don't you just search for NIST, NIST? Why don't you just do a Control F for that?
Well, I don't have it on computer. I have a book.
Oh, wow, look at you, boomer. Well, I can't help you. You're going to have to actually read it. But good on you for buying it. But how much do you want to bet? No, I'm not going to play that.
Did you just social shame someone for owning a book? Dude, I was so conflicted because, you know, touche, and also shamed a man for having a book.
I mean, that's what he did, man. The guy wrote. I was like,
book shaming, really, Morty?
All right. I'm just gonna slip out one rhyme for you, okay? Because
okay, hold on a minute, everybody, shut up.
All right.
Your mic's kind of low. Get adjusted.
Can you hear me? Can you hear me?
Oh, yes.
All right. So one of the rhymes is, and you can just roast me on it after. All right. Ain't got no relativity, bitch, just straight special.
Yeah,
you got two more.
That was a hard build up for just that. I feel like there should be more, or you should retire.
I was thinking
I
that
already did
his mic dropped.
Retire, you know, I've been brought out of retirement by.
You came out of retirement.
Wait, did you just spit just only one bar?
Yeah, dude. That's all you get.
That's a half a bar. It was contracted.
It was contracted. It was Lorenz contracted.
Exactly.
Going really fast, I guess.
He was spitting at the speed of light, boys. He spit too fast.
Yeah. Yeah, but okay. Props where props is due. I know that maybe we disagree on the methodology or whatever, but at least he went out and measured something. So respect.
Yeah.
Put his money where his mouth is, and I always respect that. So,
are you talking about Dr. Mike?
Yeah.
Well, yeah, it's currently like the coolest flat Earth proof ever that he used to convince himself that Earth is flat to come over to our side and no pressure from anyone. So yeah, it's kind of a nice.
Dude,
and you know what? You know what the thing is too is you guys really needed that victory.
It was nice. More. Let's just say it came in at a fantastic time. Whew.
It did come in at a nice.
That was a close one, lads. Whew.
A hand delivered little present. Yeah, that was.
So
nice.
What else is new? You got any new prezzies? Like what are we doing?
Every week we do.
Every Tuesday, 8 p.m., my dude.
And that's on Space Audits, man.
Can't knock the hustle.
We trimmed our hustle a little bit, but it's still an admirable hustle.
Is there a new debate platform? Because I guess MDD doesn't do flat Earth anymore. And
dude, every platform backed out. We're gonna host one. We'll do it. If you want to debate globe stuff and you can find some flat Earth lads, we'll do it and moderate it.
MDD doesn't do flat Earth debates anymore.
That's what I heard.
Yeah, and not only them, other debate platforms won't do it either now.
Huh.
Yeah.
Everyone's scared. They're trying to wrap it up on the 24-hour sun, like they caught the big dub.
That is the play, of course.
Yeah, but the real question is, did Witsit vape or not?
Did the ice crunch or did it or whatever the fuck? If an ice crunches in Antarctica, does anyone hear it?
Good question.
If a penguin shits on ice, all right, I'm done.
We could do an Antarctica trip for the lads.
For the boys, you got us, Morty? Trying to take me and Shane to Antarctica?
I would if I had the money.
Save up. Quit betting people online and save up, bro.
I was gonna say make a couple.
I stopped wasting my money on betting online and I bought a bunch of ammunition now. So
nice.
Like bullets, like tracer rounds. What you got?
No, I don't have any tracer rounds yet. They don't ship into Colorado because of the wildfire risk.
You got,
unfortunately.
You got the SIG in the trunk?
You look into that?
The chopper, you know. I run a drill on anyone that doesn't believe in the globe. That's the new policy. No, but I guess we could do that debate if you still want to on the coordinate system stuff.
Nice. The return.
You're talking to me or him? You mean like
talking to you?
We were
Maps.
supposed to do
Yeah. Yeah, well, I like how you're already calling it a coordinate system debate when the position is supposed to be that maps project the globe for you. You're already kind of edging over, but
okay,
that's
so,
fine.
all right,
It's fine. It's all right.
It's all right. You can. I now flip to flat Earth. Happy Good Friday, everyone.
Dude, that's what FTFE did, and that was my last debate. Was FTFE showing up and pretending?
On the record, FTFE was awful in that debate. That was one of the worst debate performances I've ever seen, and he treated me like a complete dick for no reason.
Yeah, no, but
he just mentioned Booger Eater.
I was just gonna say that's what he does. But if you haven't
no
seen
disrespect, I'm not trying to disrespect Greg or anything, but like, you can't. He didn't even engage with the argument. Like, you can't.
No, it's like he already knew that I won, and he didn't want to do any effort. He's like, I don't want to actually talk about that. Let's do anything else. But if you look in the jumbotron,
it seemed like the ridicule strategy. The jumbotron. All I see is the turtle clock.
Yeah. After that, there'll be a new one of Craig starting his live stream by picking his nose with both nostrils with his magic majestic pinky, and then eating both them suckers and putting them down. So now there's a meme called the Booger Eater, and here it is. It's an action figure. We had it made up. It's got Fight the Fat shirt on it, but it's only got his middle finger when he's next to the big giant booger with the
So wait, who started Fight the Fat shirt?
That was I don't know. Oh, I think it was Witsit. Witsit did it when he was like a while ago, I guess. And now he's just angry.
Yeah. Well, it's
apparently everybody eats their boogers.
It's
according to Craig.
But that's kind of odd, though, right? I mean, I don't know, glass houses and all, throwing stones. I don't know on that one. Not that we have any moral high ground.
For picking my nose on camera and eating it, and then gaslighting people who accuse me. Like, really?
I don't know.
We don't have the moral high ground on that. Is that what you just said?
No, probably. I don't think anyone has the moral high ground.
Okay.
What the ruck, Morty? Get out of town.
That's retarded.
I think that as soon as you take the moral high ground, you automatically lose it.
Yeah. All right. Well, then you can have it be okay to pick your nose and eat it and whatever, and then defend it, and then be like, and then when accused, be like, no, you did it, and have that be a valid response.
No, everybody does it.
All I know is that I've heard that picking your nose is like a good way to improve your immune system.
So if you're in an elevator,
speaking of different subjects, Flat Earth Ambassador, Madam Ambassadress Liliana sends her regards. She can't come this evening because iPad has some weird Twitter update and it's not functioning properly. But she loves us, she misses us, and Morty, she's particularly sending you positive love and energy in lieu of your recent events and wants nothing but the best for you.
Oh, thank you. I appreciate that.
Liliana, shout out to Lily.
Yeah, and likewise. I'm not trying to project negative energy out in the world anymore. So, got that.
A changed man, Morty.
Bro.
I'm trying.
You remind me of that guy in Pulp Fiction who was tired of killing people, and he was like, "I'm gonna stop killing people by killing people or whatever."
I'm gonna walk the earth.
Yeah, you're just gonna walk
the earth. You don't have no job. You're walking the earth. That's called, Vincent. That's called Jules. That's called being a bum.
The hobo.
Be a bum.
The hobo.
That's
There's a distinction.
Yeah. So Blue Origin, PSYOP?
Never met her.
Dude, you never heard of that space is faking gay train? I thought everyone
Morty,
people.
It's the classic, like, have a big ambiguous fuck up or whatever, and then like both sides can gaslight each other to infinity with no resolution. It's a classic maneuver, dude.
Classic one.
No, man, there are more normies here now for the first time being like, NASA? What? NASA? Wait, hold on. Why would they lie? Right? All of a sudden, like, why would you lie about something so silly? There's definitely a lot of people on that train now, which is weird.
Nice.
Well, yeah, I mean, you guys might be in luck. Maybe there'll be like, 10,000 flat earthers in the U.S. one day.
A whole 10,000?
We're already at like more than 10%, at least in America, and way more in South America, and way more in Europe and shit.
Yeah.
Dude, the Europe FE lads are popping off, bro.
Shit, the Czech division of Aether Cosmology alone is huge.
Man, I hear most of Brazil is a flat earthers.
Oh yeah, whatever happened? I was supposed to debate Dom too, but then Jaren shut it down.
Oh, dude,
right
dude. Well, Yeah, we can host that. We can set it up.
Yeah, I'm not adverse to it.
You
I
gotta
just
come
have to
debate
like
all of it.
man. Yeah, we could do more versus the entire Ether cutoff.
Yeah, I mean, one at a time. It's
I'm
not a
down.
fucking kung fu gang fight or whatever. Everyone approaches you one at a time
Yeah.
until it's over.
It's gonna be like the hallway fight scene in Old Boy. The hammer, you know what I mean?
Yeah, you know
Just
that the
like
Matrix.
I gotta give you some advice though. Bring, instead of like pieces of wood that just break on impact, bring like a proper like nightstick or something. If they had those, he would have been fucked, you know. Never bring flimsy wood to a hammer fight. That's all I gotta say.
You gotta approach the boss lair and then approach each super boss in its own
That's
lair,
right.
where all the
That's
power-ups affect the boss, and you're
Exactly.
There's a save crystal before each boss, though. So
Yes,
you're
indeed.
good.
Yeah. But no, I'm down, I guess, to do a debate in the future. I just have to like manage my time because I like burn out super hard when I overcommit to stuff. But I guess
What's
I already lost the
overcommitting?
debate. What's overcommitting?
Yeah.
It's like if I start working on a server 18 hours a day and then also working, or you know,
Oh, like spreading yourself too thin. Okay.
yeah, exactly. That's so.
Shane, remember when we went live every day for an entire week for months on end?
Yep.
Yeah, that's pretty good.
Well,
No, that's why I can't
That-
knock the hustle. Can't knock the hustle, guys. You guys should get your content out. That takes work and effort. So you know,
quality over quantity, I think, is where we're at.
yeah, try for it.
You work it every day in your life. You never do the thing that you love, or whatever they say the most.
Yeah, we love to butcher
Yeah.
quotes.
Yeah, there you go. Fool me once, shame on.
Fuck you, never fool me again. Fuck you.
You know the best
Fooled me.
Bushism,
You
though,
fooled me? When no way.
the best Bushism though is the one where he's like, our enemies are resourceful, and so are we. They never stop looking for new ways to harm our people, and neither do we.
Classic.
Truest statement I've never heard uttered. Yeah.
All right, I got something wild for you guys. Do you think that the algorithms for the major social media platforms are deliberately inserting satanic content to corrupt people?
Well, yes. Also, it's moving the Overton window further to accept that. So
The Overton window. Interesting.
Yep.
Yeah.
What's acceptable for society based on bridges, and you keep pushing the extremes to one side.
Oh,
So
yeah.
ultimately,
I
they
got
accept
you.
more of that extreme, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Because I saw some weird ass shit come through my recommendations, and it was like there's like literal like demon videos on YouTube. It's so weird.
Yeah, but we all know not to look at that stuff, dude.
Yeah, and
well, that's the
also
thing. I
Morty
didn't watch any of it, but like they
Morty-
kept recommending it to me.
Yeah,
It was so weird.
So you've typed demon a couple of times in like in DMs and stuff, and if you've typed it other places, everything that you type gets sent gets sent to the old YouTube algorithm. So if you've been talking about that lately, then like YouTube's gonna be like, hey, heard you like demons. You want to see the devil's dick or whatever?
Yeah.
More than that, dude. They identify when you stop scrolling. So if you're scrolling and you stop scrolling, it tunes interested.
Oh,
So it knows that
true.
you're watching. So if you scroll past a hot like satanic chick or whatever, and you pause and look too long, oh, guess what? The next 4 feeds will be like, oh, satanic this.
I like to fake it out.
You want this one? Yeah.
Yeah.
Got to pause on random stuff and fake it out, Morty.
Yeah, there you go. I never thought about that.
Hey, this is Sasquatch. Hey, I wanted to make a comment about what was said just a few minutes ago about awareness of flat earthers. So I've been doing some traveling, and so whenever I do, I try to, generally the conversation starts off with something about COVID and all the stuff that went on with COVID, but then I usually leave a parting thought about being a flat earther. And what I'm finding is that I'm not getting as much ridicule, and I'm getting more, oh yeah, I know that. Yeah, well, I thought about that. Or my grandson or my daughter thinks that. And I said, well, your grandson or your daughter are, pretty smart people. So some of the boomers like myself, they're harder to actually convince, but at the same time, they have relatives in the younger generation that are all on board for flat Earth. So I think it's changing. So just from my own perspective, there's not as much ridicule. There's just like, it's kind of like, huh. So I think people are becoming more aware. Just my thoughts.
Yo, are you Sasquatch of the Sasquatch Telegram?
Well, not anymore.
Oh, welcome, sir. Formerly, or whatever.
Yeah, well, take good care of it. It's just something that. So I'm trying to get a job, and they're going to do a background check on me. And I just didn't want to be considered an activist. So
yeah,
I needed to hand that off to somebody. Thank you for that.
Yeah, I'm fucked on security clearance permanently, probably. So
don't they only just care if you're in debt and if you're like talking to foreigners?
Yeah, I don't know what they care for. I just think it was probably not a good look for me to have that channel.
Yeah.
No, that's prudent, man. Yeah, because like they will like blacklist you, or like, I mean, there should be like freedom of speech, but obviously like
unless you don't like Israel, and then you shouldn't have freedom of speech, and everybody agrees.
Speaking of freedom of speech, I want to let everybody know that this is a new account of mine. Please give me a like and a follow, and retweet the space.
Speaking of Israel, Brian's going for the record of most deletions on Twitter, currently at 32. The next one is the big one, so everyone take part.
I get a party on that one.
What about the Vatican building looking like a snake head? What do you guys think about that?
Dude, it looks exactly like a snake head. Anyone that says differently is a fucking liar.
Dude, that symbology goes
the Vatican?
So the most and so far back.
It's the most snake thing ever made. And then they have snake fucked up weird nuclear bomb Jesus in there, I think. And then there's also a statue of Baal or some shit out there, isn't there? Oh, that's our boy Lucy.
Nice. Jesus Christ coming back from hell, but that shit looks like Lucifer, man. It's demonic as fuck.
Yeah. Have you guys ever seen Conan the Barbarian?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, how about my pet goat?
Which one? OG or the remake?
The OG, man. Yeah, they're all about snakes in that movie, man. They like their snakes.
So Bezos hasn't come out yet to apologize for the obvious fakery.
The dildo?
Yeah. Well, the door opening when they landed before they actually opened the door, that whole thing.
You think
there's mannequins in there?
You think that thing went to space more than one?
The dildo rocket?
Yeah.
I haven't looked into it, so
you haven't looked into it?
I have not.
No. Hey, that's fair, man. Let the man slide. It's Good Friday, bro. Jesus is about to come back. Let the man slide.
Does he think we landed on the moon?
Yeah, I do think we landed on the moon.
You think we landed on the moon?
Yeah. Morning. What?
Yeah. Call me a blue-pilled cuck for Kamala, but I do think that, yeah.
You're a blue-pilled cuck for Kamala, dude.
Are you a Kamala guy?
Hell no. Fuck no, dude. God.
You vote?
You believe that dude drove a golf cart around on a dust ball in full luminosity and then made a call to a landline to a president?
Yeah.
Yeah. Really?
And then play golf?
Well, that's the funny thing about the moon buggies. The dust trails thing, right? That's like, Craig.
Stop it, Morty. You're going to end up paying one of us to make us forget that we even had this conversation.
No, I'm done paying people. Fool me once, shame on me.
Morty, you know who's got a good moon landing argument about the buggies? One second. Jaren from Jarenism. Yeah. So there's a scene where the lads are on the buggy and they're going over a bunch of rocks and stuff, so they're bouncing around, but there's no inflection change in their voice. Like, when you're in a car and you're on a dirt road or bouncing around, if you were to try and talk, you'd be all fucked up. But these guys were just like, talking like me and you are talking right now as if nothing. And like their camera, like everything's shaking and bouncing around. The cameras, you know, it's like they're on the thing, but they're just like, hey, just us sitting around with the boys, driving around on the moon. Like it's crazy, dog. I think that's a solid argument. If you have eyes and ears,
that's an actual argument. I haven't actually heard that one. So
just up there,
it's a banger.
Driving on the moon.
Yeah. What about the lawn chairs on the moon buggy? I mean, those are like top engineering, right?
Hey, I just want to know what kind of material those spacesuits were made out of, holding that pressure.
Oh gosh,
like,
good look at. But the thing about that is, like, I don't think that's particularly compelling because if you go off of what they say, the difference is 1 atmosphere, so the actual pressure is like very, very small.
It's weird though, but in 1962, when NASA actually threw a guy inside of a vacuum chamber, it was a triple chamber vacuum chamber, and as they were increasing the altitude in there and getting lower in pressure, the air inside of his suit wanted to get out so bad that it popped off the air nozzle there, and the guy almost died. Said he felt the spit boiling on his tongue before.
According to a document on NASA's website, it didn't burst. It didn't fall off of or it didn't come off of the thing. It burst. They said.
Interesting. Well, maybe
it was a complete failure or whatever they said.
Yeah, and then after that time, you know how many times they started testing inside of vacuum chambers?
I bet you it's 0.
It's
times,
0, man. They said, man, we're even fucking with that shit no more. It's deadly.
Brian, do you still think rockets can't work in a vacuum chamber?
They
though?
can't.
Is that still?
Do you still think they can?
Fuck no.
Do you think they can?
Well, I don't know. You had a great argument with flies, right? So I think that's an important one to bring up.
I think the craziest thing about the moon landing, they brought back their own shit in bags. I couldn't believe they couldn't figure something out. Like
they would have dug a hole. I've been like, hey man, we can't bring this kind of stink in this.
Dude, forget about being the first one to walk on the moon. We all know to assert dominance over the moon, you have to be the first one to shit on it.
You got to. And how you not gonna try to?
Otherwise, the trip means nothing.
You got to pee. You got to pee on the moon. You got to watch your. You got to watch your pee and explode, right?
So there's spots in Colorado where you can stand, and if you pee on one side of the mountain, it goes to the Pacific, and if you pee on the other side, it goes to the Atlantic. So you can be a 2-basin peer.
So you're saying you can pee in the Atlantic Ocean from Colorado?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, technically, your pee is probably not going to get all the way there, but don't piss on my dream. Brian.
I think that's going to be an old wives' tale there, man. I don't think that's true.
Well, you know what they say: an old wife is better than no wife at all. So.
That's what they say, man. But I know that Colorado is nowhere near the Atlantic Ocean, so.
No.
So this is off topic, but on topic. I just made a trip from Miami to LA, going through the Panama Canal. So in one day, I was in the Atlantic and the Pacific.
Oh wow, you went through those locks?
That's cool. Yeah, that was awesome. Went up, cool. Every lock you go up, I don't know how many feet, 50, let's just say, but don't quote me. And then you just drive into the next lock, and they close the gate behind you and fill it up and lift that great big old cruise ship up in the air like it was nothing. Then you drive onto a lake. You float around the lake for a little while, and you go to the other end of the canal where they have other locks to let you back down into the Pacific. It was great.
It's pretty amazing. I definitely think that we should take it back. I mean, I think Trump's pretty based in that regard. We need Greenland and we need the Panama Canal back. So, and Mexico will pay for it. So there you go. I don't want.
You left out Canada. Why do you got to get against Canadians?
They elected Trudeau. I mean, come on. I don't want them in my country. Come on.
That's actually pretty cool. I mean, so do you think that the lake that's in Panama is saltwater or freshwater? Some things I learned.
Oh, interesting. I never thought about that. Is it somehow freshwater or is it brackish?
It is freshwater. So, they get the rains and the rainy seasons and stuff like that. So it's actually supplied. And so that lake can actually dry up, and so it causes them technical issues when it does dry up, as far as putting ships through.
Interesting. Huh. So, do you think that instead of global warming, it should be called pizza warming because the dome is really what's heating up? And is it possible? Here's another question: is it possible to have global warming on a flat Earth? Like a warming of the dome? Like, what if the sun is getting closer?
Domal warming.
Domal warming, man.
There you go. That's the terminology.
What do you think global warming is?
Well, I had a really there's a lot of cows, and I've been.
Did his mic cut out or did my audio cut out? I'm guessing it was me.
Because all the carbon in the air, right?
Yeah.
So how much carbon
I think
in the air?
CO2.
Is it?
CO2. There you go.
It's measured in parts per million, right? What is the amount of my science denier? Yes, I deny all science.
Well, the science says we have global warming.
The science.
There's a YouTube channel. Can you guys hear me?
Yeah.
Testing. Okay. There's a YouTube channel. I'll link it in a second, called The Climate Sophist. This guy is a master's degree astronomer, mainstream lad, globe believer and all that. And he goes over what they proposed for global warming, right? So specifically, they use this one model where they essentially, what they do is the way that it's modeled, it's a flat Earth, and the sun is hitting 100% of the Earth at all times to give them the numbers that they need. And so part of their model is that, the Earth is flat. And so he started mocking them. He was like, you guys believe in this dog shit flat Earth math because he thinks it's a hoax or whatever, right? So then the media starts gaslighting him and saying that he's they start calling him a flat earther, a flat Earth astronomer and shit, bro. And so he's super pissed at them. So now he dedicates he wrote several books on it. His YouTube is now dedicated to debunking climate change science because it's fake, and he just goes through it all. It's fucking hilarious. But then anyway, he has a massive hate, an over hate for flat Earth because it's associated with his career, and they used it against him or whatever to make him to discredit him, even though it's their fucking model. And so if you ask him about flat Earth, he does not go well. But yeah, it's a really interesting channel because that guy's whole career got ruined over pointing it out.
I mean, that's the part where it's that shouldn't happen, right? The idea that if you disagree with a consensus scientifically, that you need the only reason that would be the case is if you're fraudulent, to my mind. And I haven't seen any evidence that it's a similar thing with John Lott, and when you come to defensive gun use versus gun violence, he's treated the same way by the established criminology community, because he's dared to say that actually defensive gun uses are more common than gun violence when you look at the actual statistics. And they've basically been like, no, your models are trash, you're a denier, blah blah blah. And it's that I think is a fundamental problem for sure.
Are you trying to say that somebody went out there and bucked the system in science and then got ridiculed? I
know, right?
No one believed them. That's weird, man.
Shocking.
It's weird. It's almost like the whole community didn't want to listen to him.
Oh, it's shocking. Well, I mean, it's undoubtedly the case that science is weaponized as part of our society. That's definitely true.
Where do you fall in line with like getting COVID boosters?
I'm not.
Everyone should be
enough.
left to make their own decisions at this point, and we should, or whatever they say. Anyway, I put up the
cool.
the climate of sophistry link in there if you guys want to check that out. He goes over how they misappropriate the old greenhouse effect and all that to make their model, even be viable. It's crazy.
Yeah, I mean, like at the end of the day, like they've made many predictions that haven't come to pass, right? Like they were saying, I mean, Al Gore is notorious for that.
Yeah, if we go just off of Al Gore, I mean, geez Louise.
I mean, that's the whole man bear pig thing, right? Like South Park.
I haven't seen it, but
channel's shadow ban. No, it's not shadow ban. Interesting. You ever seen the man bear pig South Park episode with Al Gore?
Never met her.
So funny, dude. Oh, because it's like literally, it's like making fun of his like global warming shit. So he's like, the whole premise is that he says that there's this thing called man bear pig that's like this danger to society.
Gotcha.
Yeah, and then in the Imagination Land episode, man bear pig actually shows up in Imagination Land, so they like bring him back. You know what I mean? But
nice.
Like, I don't know. So it's like, and it's like the whole thing where we're supposed to like, it just, to me, it's like there ought to be debate and not just like ridicule, if that makes sense. Like this idea that we need to just like ridicule, shadow ban, and like suppress people's speech if they disagree with the consensus, I think is a problematic, let's say that, like it's ethically not a good idea. It leads to like, there's certain things too where like, I mean, with the whole COVID thing, right? I'm sure your mileage may vary on whether that's even real or not. From my perspective, we were gaslit on the idea that it could have been a lab leak, like actively, to the point where people were lost their jobs, lost their social media accounts. And then later on, people are like, well, actually, maybe. Like Jon Stewart had a really funny bit about that where he's talking about it. And he was on Colbert's show. Colbert is totally sold out his soul, right? But like, he was like, oh, there's been an outbreak of chocolatey goodness in Hershey, Pennsylvania. You know what I mean? I wonder what caused it. Like, so I don't know. Like, I definitely think that like we have a problem where there's like a tendency to just destroy the careers of people that are disagreeing. And I think the problem with I mean, you guys are familiar with the whole idea of post-growth economics in relation to climate change? Like, have you heard that?
Never met her.
So basically, there's a large group of economists, and especially like activists that say like
nerds. You mean?
Yeah, nerds, exactly. They say like we need to remove growth from the world, and we can't have growth as a society anymore because climate change is so bad that there's no way to decouple growth from climate change. But what that means is the statistics I've heard is like 60, it's like 49% of people live on less than $1.50 a day or something. So those people are either just fucked, or we have a global communist redistribution of wealth, which is probably what they really want. So to me, the whole reactionary stuff to climate change is a deeply anti-human philosophy, whether you accept it as
indubitably.
I think they just want depopulation so that there's more resources for them.
It seems like a big Trojan horse to me.
So I dropped my my Facebook posting to the Panama Canal if anybody wants to see some of the gates.
Nice. Yeah, I do want to see that. That's pretty cool, man. So
I do appreciate a good gate.
Yeah. Like Vape Gate. That was a really good gate. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. There are other types of gates too.
Like Gate as well. If you know that one, GAIT gate. Because apparently, if you look at someone's walk, you can determine if they're secretly trans or not. And Whitsit's wife is a trans man, and Whitsit is a trans woman, and you can tell that by looking at them all. The more you know.
What?
I think he's talking about if you put like one foot in front of the other, but I just thought that meant you're a boy or a girl.
He's memeing. He's doing like a multi-layered meme.
Yeah. It's like a lasagna.
I thought it was the ring finger compared to the index finger.
Oh, there's a bunch of them. There's like 50 of them. So you gotta.
Well, according to Guy McGuyerson, you can do a gate analysis that never fails or whatever. Anyway, the moral of the story is you give a man a fish, you feed him for a day.
Yeah, it's true. Yeah. But if you fuck a fish, then you have fish for the rest of your life.
But if
that's not how it works, Morty.
But if you teach him how to fish, he's going to spend a shit ton of money on lures.
That's true.
All right, Morwen, I got a question. What about the Big Bang and evolution? Are you down with that stuff?
Big Bang. I mean, we have the cosmological background radiation. My perspective is that there's really no way to know what happened. There's no observables that we have access to that I'm aware of that provides any kind of empirical evidence as to that. When it comes to evolution, also a little bit shakier on the evidence, in that, like, when you look at like
Wait, doesn't the CMBR point to Earth being the center of creation? All the radiation is emanating equally out from it.
Yep, you're right. 100%. Geocentrism for life. Yeah, no, and then evolution, I mean, we have like the long-term evolution experiment. We have some like more modern results, but like,
where's Taylor at?
Yeah, bring Taylor in here. There's but there are fundamental problems, right? Like the ability to
So are you or are you not an evolutionist? Are you a creationist or what? You think
I wouldn't consider myself a creationist, not in the sense of biblical literalism, no.
So
like,
what do you mean? What do you mean?
Well, I believe in a creator at this point.
Okay.
I think or
nice.
some, you know what I mean? But like
but
I don't
think he created you?
Huh?
But you don't think he created you?
Well, I think that we have biological processes that are creating, we have fertilization and then, cells grow and people grow from that.
Are those mutually exclusive though? I'm still confused. Like, couldn't God?
No, I don't think they are. And I think that's the thing is like, I think that when it comes to like science, when we try to like look for we try to say like, this is how God created, I think there's a certain arrogance to that because like
what
God could do anything, right? If you believe in God as like a truly omnipotent being, then he could make a universe that's this size and this age and whatever.
Like, so Morty, do you believe in objective truth now? That there can be an objective truth?
Objective truth.
That there can be something can be objectively true?
Like rulers are 12 inches?
It's either true or not, right?
That was a little, I mean, in general, not sure. I have to think about that one more.
Well, it can either be or cannot be. It cannot be.
Hey, give him some space, boys. Last time it was a hard no. This is huge progress.
So
boys.
there's all these simulation matrix theories, guys, and I'll be like, yo, if I'm looking at my mailbox and it's black, right? We can agree it's black. Like, oh, what if I'm colorblind? So I'd be like, all right, get the measuring tape out. And I'll be like, oh, it's 12 inches. And then this guy'd be like, no, it's centimeters. And I'm like, bro, you can convert centimeters inches. So it's wild how people like they can't like get on board with the fact that we can objectively have some truth on this universe.
I see a man of stone down there.
What's up, Stone? Any globies down there? No.
So I got a question.
You guys ran him off. You stacked the space too strong.
We got Chris down there. He's a globie.
Is Chris still in here?
Yeah, he's down there in the listeners.
I don't know who Chris is.
Never met her.
It's a dude.
Is Shane still here?
Shane is currently writing a flat Earth astronomy vampire fan fiction.
So maybe
really?
somebody can.
Yeah, it's called.
He's walking his dog.
It's called. The title is called "She Showed Me Her Astrolabe."
So he is writing that. So it's a working title.
That's a working title, he says.
So he recently posted something about the Big Dipper and where it's in different positions according to Polaris, depending on the season, right? And so they're pointing in different directions. And I was just wondering, is that a moment in time at night? Because don't all the stars rotate around Polaris in a single night? How would you know what position that Big Dipper is supposed to be in?
They don't
go in
There's a celestial pole. Polaris technically has a star trail. It's just hard to see, is my understanding. So they don't quite rotate around Polaris, but it's a point that's like a degree off from Polaris.
Okay, so so the rotation of the stars is not a full circle in 24 hours?
It would be. I don't know what you're talking about, though, specifically.
Yeah. So he presented something that showed that depending on the season, that the Big Dipper was to the right of Polaris or above Polaris or to the left of Polaris or below Polaris. But if you're talking about all the stars that are eventually going to circle, then that seems like that would have to be a moment in time at night as opposed to always to the right of Polaris. And I'm just trying to figure out how that works.
Good question. I don't know.
How the stars go around Polaris?
Well, the statement that the Big Dipper is to the east or the west of Polaris, depending on the season, right?
Sure.
But if it's all making a full circle every night, then isn't it really all directions?
Well, it can't make a full circle every night. It'd be a half a circle, right? Because it's only a half a day there.
Well, yeah, I mean, it's still making the circle whether you see the sun there or not, right?
I think I can help you guys with this one. Back to Polaris.
Well, you're just helping Sasquatch. I'm the one that has the question.
Sure, but back to the Polaris question. Yeah, it is not the astronomical center of rotation. Its radius is between 1/2 and 3/4 of a degree as it spins around when you see it east-west or north-south in terms of its distance away from the astronomical center. And you're quite correct in the second case about where you would see the Big Dipper at any particular time. It's, at midnight, at a given equinox or a given solstice, it's going to be in one of those four positions.
Okay, so it is a point in time.
At other parts of the year, it'll be in those other positions.
Okay, yes. so it is a point in time. That's good.
And the stars do go around once every 23 hours, 56 minutes, and a couple of seconds, right? It's not actually 24 hours. That's the sun. Because we keep track with solar time.
I'm not splitting hairs.
I'm just referring to sidereal time, which is really the rate at which the stars are rotating.
Sidereal time is my MC name, so.
Oh, nice. Respect.
Well,
so Mordwan, do you think the stars are a million light years or millions of light years away?
That's what the evidence suggests. Sure.
What evidence?
Spectroscopy.
What?
Hoodly doodly what?
You know,
How are you separating what's in our atmosphere with what you're claiming to observe?
I don't know if spectroscopy needs a container, but I do know that colonoscopy does.
But what does spectral color have to do with distance?
I think that's how it's determined. So if you take a spectrum,
I think not a damn thing.
All right. Well, do you want to have a conversation about it, or do you want to just, be a sneering asshole?
I thought we were having a conversation until you uttered some really ridiculous shit and had no way to explain what you said.
On that note, that the sneering asshole has showed up. I'm going to leave, boys. It was fun before.
I'm just trying to keep it real, man. You want to stand behind what you say? Why are you saying it?
Run again? I've been told that he's the top Globey, and he just keeps on.
Boys, Morty's a good lad. He's later, Morty. Have a good night, sir.
Those were the answers I would have almost expected, spectroscopy and some redshift, something or other, but.
Well, that's why I asked him what does spectral color have to do with distance, and he couldn't give me an answer. That's not being a sneery shit. That's asking him a direct question, challenging his assertion, is it not? I mean, am I just having a bad night? I just got here, man.
He did that to me earlier when I questioned him why he didn't like this book, and it turns out he didn't read it.
So I guess one must resort to emotional gaslighting in order to get out of the fact that he just really fucked up the point he was making with a bunch of bullshit.
And I didn't even get to ask him about parallax.
Oh man, well we all know that there is just as much negative parallax as there is parallax, so they don't have an explanation for the actual data on that either. We all know that.
Oh, dude, Bennett proposed a really interesting argument against parallax using the aberration measurements, because you know how they like stellar aberration. Well, if you derive the angle back to what it would have, like where the star would have had to have been to produce that angle, if the Earth is moving at 30 kilometers a second to, produce it the way that they say, and it comes out to like 60 light years or whatever, using their light speed distances and all that for everything. And then so that's where the stars would have to be, which disagrees with all of their quote unquote parallax measurements, where they have it going down, to the 89.9999999999999 of a degree, where they say that, this is where the triangle converges at like 3 million or 300 light years away or some shit, So it's like they actually are locked into a fixed thing. If they want to use stellar aberration, you could use a triangle against them in that way. But yeah, there's using different assumptions, you can get different distances with parallax. Like that's why it's not a super good argument.
I like to go the Dave Weiss route and use radius squared against them. You know what I mean?
That's a classic. Do you run us through the inverse square law, Stan, argument? If you don't mind, sir.
We're just making the general assumption that the star is a point source of light. Therefore, it obeys the rules of radiation from a point source, which is all about the attenuation over r squared. So every time you double your distance away from the star, you cut the brightness to 25% of that distance.
Oh, but that only works on Earth with an atmosphere. You know that, right?
Yeah, that's it. Because it's a vacuum, then light can just fucking be everywhere at infinite distances and, no attenuation at all. If that were true, we would be blinded by all of the stars, right? Where's the curve?
Or the sun itself, right?
Yeah, where's the curve to where it turns back into a dot? Between when it's flying with unlimited impedance all through the universe in all directions from the point source with zero attenuation, where's the curve that it becomes just a regular point of light in the sky with an apparent magnitude of 4 or 8 or 10? Where's that?
Never met her, the astronomer said.
Yeah, I heard that once too. Was that our last Globie of the night? Have they all run for the exits?
The globularists have retired to the den for the evening. It's just us gentlemen in the smoking lounge with our smoking jackets, smoking cigars.
Have they been retired? That is sad.
Did you guys scare off Mortawon when I was walking the dog? What happened?
He went to take a little break.
It's not going to be another 3 to 6 month break or whatever.
Maybe.
Somebody challenged him on, did he really believe the stars are that far away?
Stone chased him away.
Well,
and he said, "Oh yeah, I believe they're that far away." Then somebody said, "Oh really? Well, how can you back that up?" He goes, "I don't know, spectrography." And I said, "Dude, what does the star's color have to do with distance?"
He had it closer than that. It was like spectroscopy or something. But
spectroscopy. That's the one he said. Yeah, spectroscopy. I said, "Well, what's that got to do with distance?" He says, "I don't know, but I'd like to have a civil conversation about it." I said, "Well, I can have a civil conversation when you're uttering a bunch of bullshit." So he left.
Well, when I left, he was talking about how real the moon landing was, and I was like, or whatever. So I don't know. I kind of digressed from there. So I guess he got. Or maybe he was just telling us all the stuff he knew would trigger us, because that's what he is, right? You forget that's Dr. Jekyll, Mr. Hyde.
Is there somebody in the audience recording this so they can turn it into a pseudo robot polisher as we decimate yet another Globey?
At least he wasn't fully on board with Big Bang.
Wouldn't get
Is
into
that
creation.
Is that where you got to when I was just coming into the room? Is that the milestone you guys reached with him, that he's not Georges Lemaitre indoctrinated?
Yeah, exactly. And he believes in a creator, apparently, some sort of creator.
But not for us.
If only we could get him to stop believing in big pharma, then we'd really have some potential there.
That's going to be difficult.
Dude, Dave New Perspective says Mortal One's kind of like a fake it till you get caught faking it kind of guy. And that's definitely the way that you describe it, dude. It's like, yeah, just bold-faced lie until someone calls you on it, then retreat gracefully or whatever.
Guilty.
Yeah.
So I can't make out what to think about Candace Owens calling out Matthew, whatever his name is, on X. You guys don't know what that's about?
Do what again?
Call it the cameraman?
No, not the cameraman, but she was calling out somebody on X about him.
NASA. She was calling out NASA, said it's all fake.
Yeah.
Well, everybody was, right? Even the normies are like, well, listen,
Yeah.
just because they faked a photo op doesn't mean space is fake or whatever.
Yeah. Well, she also
No, she went all the way back to 17 and said that's all fake.
Mm-hmm. So I can't figure out whether she's like controlled opposition kind of thing, or whether she's, because sometimes they try to gain your trust, or whether, she's all in now as a flat earther. Or is it just against NASA? Nobody has any comment.
Man,
I mean, Bezos
NASA,
doesn't get any national funding, right? He does this out of his own pocket, so he could fake it. It's no big deal.
Dude, I think just against NASA is the right starting position for normies anyway. I think that you can scare off a lot of people talking about flat Earth as much as we do it all the time, right? NASA and the government's lying is a much easier brick to tackle first.
I would like to see more evidence of her level of comprehension of the issues before I say whether she's turned flat Earth. You know what I mean?
She has a really good production video.
Guys,
she could just be another Globey who sort of understands it and sort of sits on the fence and sort of says she's a flat earther for a while. But then another really smart Globey comes in and makes a really stupid argument in a very convincing way, and all of a sudden she's a reformed flat earther and forever. You know what I mean? It was create another one of them.
Yo, we're gonna need a standardized flat Earth test.
Yeah.
Before we can start like, oh, this person, they used to be a flat Earth. Did they take the test? What was their score?
Exactly. Well, how many boxes were checked? Yeah.
Is there a test that all the good flat earthers could pass that would filter out all the shitty ones, though? That'll be the test. We'll have to
Stone, quality assurance man. Do something important for the movement.
You gotta bust out a new spreadsheet.
I get why they did standardized testing now. You have to know where everyone's at. Otherwise, and then you have, it makes sense. Guys, we're rolling out a curriculum now. There will be standardized testing every 6 months. And there'll be summer school. If you don't pass, you have to take it out of your tag on Twitter.
Instead of IQ, you have FEQ.
Did they use standardized testing to slow the progress of the smartest kids to the dumbest kids? And we're using it to filter out and set a bar for.
Well,
it must be this dumb.
It is kind of serious, though. It's like if you're listening to people and following people on the internet, then you get a following and everybody kind of follows you, and then you convert and you go the other way and say you were wrong. So it's a strategy to get people to, to divide. In other words, get people to follow you and then turn around and then, dash all their hopes that what they thought was right or not. I mean, I think we had some of that with the 24-hour sun, where a lot of people kind of went different directions after that.
I was gonna say, who are you talking about, Jaren or Pry Guy?
Probably mostly Jaren, but could Candace Owens be the same kind of thing, where she's just kind of trying to get the following, and then later on just kind of deny it all?
Yeah, there's not really many real.
She's a TV lad, bro. She ain't gonna be a flat earther. 0%
Candace
chance.
Owens has zero benefit to push flat Earth publicly right now. Like zero benefit. There's absolutely no reason why she should do that from her perspective.
If she started doing it, I would be concerned.
She's obviously a YouTube, so I think that's making money, and her niche is like truthing, so she's doing that hard. I think she's doing fine, but I mean, I wouldn't expect her to go flat all of a sudden.
Isn't flat Earth the ultimate truth? I mean, isn't that? I mean, if we all found out for real, for sure, that we somehow lived on a spinning space ball in the vacuum of space, we know it's not true. But if we were somehow to find out that there was evidence, compelling evidence that it was true, then most of us would change in a minute. But we know that that's not true. We're just looking for the truth. We've been lied to all of our lives.
But here's the thing, dude. The thing that separates us is belief in government. So if we attack their belief in the establishment and government, the flat Earth and other truths will fall naturally right after that. So I think it's a better, like, the better move is to try and hit the grounding block that holds the whole tower up, and then they'll naturally follow the same path that like once you distrust the government, then NASA turns off, then all that shit goes away, right? Then you're like, oh wait, maybe they didn't go to space. Maybe that blue capsule thing isn't charred with the re-entry of atmosphere that I thought was there, or whatever. They start noticing things.
But it's a global problem. It's not just a single government.
It's just, dude, flat Earth turns so many people off, as it's been trained to do with the social programming and the rejection and the program responses and the suspension of belief. It's just hard to get through to anyone on that topic as it's been designed, right? I think that they want us to try and do that all the time, and then because they can control that easier than it is to generally spread truth. Like, hey, maybe vaccines aren't safe and effective or whatever. Maybe forced medical intervention isn't good for everyone. Maybe the two-party system controlled by Israel isn't in everyone's benefit to keep voting yourselves out of tyranny, or maybe you shouldn't have a real ID to deport people, like all the things that they're doing and slowly doing. What's that? The tiptoe to totalitarianism or whatever. All the things.
And I was gonna say once. Sorry, Shane. I was gonna say once you get to Candace Owens level or Alex Jones, I don't think those guys can bite the hand that's feeding them. I can't imagine them saying something like the Earth's flat, like seriously,
dude,
without losing everybody.
Yeah, no, I get you, but like, my bar for like respect is people who talk about the Jewish question right now, and Guinness is definitely doing that. She's like questioning Israel, right? Saying like, so in my book, she's cool for right now. That's my barometer for right now. Anyone who's
she's a good guy.
That is okay in my book, yeah. Because it's hard, dude. They're attacking everyone who does that right now. So anyone who does it has balls.
She is contrary enough. Agreed. But I want to see what else comes out of her mouth to demonstrate mental competence, like having a coherent reason for thinking the Earth is flat and understanding the reason. You know what I mean? Enough that people are not going to be able to shake the foundation of her understanding, like that level of comprehension. I want to see that emitted from her in some way. Then I would be comfortable in labeling her a flat earther.
I just feel like the flat Earth topic is really what's going to bring down the whole demonic house of cards. Is that I just think it is the topic, but a lot of people think, well, what does it matter? Well, it matters a lot. It's what everything's based on, in my opinion.
Well, it's also kind of the landing on the moon. That's kind of a litmus test, kind of, and with I think. Alan or it was Stone was saying that when I was a kid and I found there was kids at the high school that hung out at the steps after night we'd walk up to go to the store, and I remember a little kid, and these big kids come over, hey, how your mom's fucking screw, and we were little kids, we didn't know what to do with you. So I picked that analogy that I think Alan was talking about.
I don't know what you just said, my man. It's what I fully endorse everything you just said.
No, it was when you were a little kid, when I was growing up, because I'm an old man, and you go out at night, with your friends, and then you'd see the bigger kids, hanging out on their steps or whatever in the shadows, and me going to the store with me and my buddy, to the kids. There were like three of them up there sitting around smoking cigarettes or whatever, and told us to hey, your mom's fucking screwed, don't you? That's how you were born. And you go away as a little freaking 6, 7-year-old. That's kind of crazy, man. You tell them
Oh,
flat Earth. You tell them about
gotcha.
flat Earth.
I was gonna say, I think, yeah, flat Earth's like the boss conspiracy theory, but I think Shane, what is the pyramid of disbelief, right? It might be better to get some people on the bottom stuff before you hit them with the flat Earth, because they might not be ready for it.
Yeah, the staircase of disbelief. I think we should do like a program of guided tours through the conspiracy holes in the preferred order, so we can take people through the big ones. I think we'd have a much higher success rate being like, okay, so did 2 planes take down 3 towers? Okay, well, let's go through that. Okay, did we invade Iraq immediately after that? All right, is George Bush friends with Osama bin? Okay, and then go through is every war told? All right, and then go through was COVID real? Okay, was the vaccines, are vaccines safe and effective? Is the government good for you? Are they trying to kill you? And then be like, oh, by the way, NASA isn't real. You see this? Yeah, well, it's also the shape of the earth. That's how it has to go, I think, because it's hard. It's hard for people to go. Dude, as I'm saying this, I'm thinking of one person who went directly from "Are Jews evil" to "The Earth is flat." So I can't say that it's impossible. Dude,
Shout out to our boy Crypto.
But it's not for everyone. I guess it's possible if you learn a hard truth to learn other truths, right? You can go in reverse order, but the most generalized way is to go up the pyramid, not to get shot to the top or whatever.
We asked these guys, like, do you believe in any conspiracy theories? And they struggle really bad. And then what they'll say is, you're not going to like this answer. And they go with like JFK, and they're like, oh, what was the conspiracy behind it? And they don't really have anything, right? I don't know, somebody.
Yeah.
Yep. That he died or didn't die, or somebody killed him or something, I think.
The point
it's like, nice, dude. The socially acceptable conspiracy, that's the one.
The magic bullet or whatever.
Dude, I put 2 Pop-Tarts in the toaster oven earlier, and I went back for them. There was only 1 in there. I've never figured out to this day what happened to that Pop-Tart. I've launched several investigations. There's papers published on it. I've used my media contacts to influence other people, and I've got nowhere with it.
Dude, the point of the staircase of disbelief, though, is that it makes people are afraid to take the first step, which is the analogy, right? They're afraid to even look into one conspiracy, because if they know that if they start to look into it and believe one, they'll probably ultimately end up believing them all, like most of us have. And they know inherently somewhere they recognize that, so they're unwilling to take the first step. And that's why you get people who answer the question, "Do you believe in any conspiracy theories?" with like, "Well, you're gonna, dude." There's a comedian who's like, "Oh, you don't believe in any conspiracy?" I understand not believing in all of them, but you don't believe in any? You think the government's just batting 1,000, telling us the truth about everything all the time? That's a bold position to take,
Super honest.
Sheepdog would be like, name one time the government's told you the truth, and they have a hard time.
That's a funny follow up to that, isn't it? Like, yeah, I believe them all the time, but they've never actually not lied to me.
They've not lied to me.
It's like every war is based on a lie told by the media, pushed by the government as propaganda to accomplish the ends, which pushed the value of the petrodollar as we pushed freedom to every country who didn't want a central bank. Just follow that history line. Like, it's like, okay, wait, we're not saving everyone with freedom?
They don't like it when you say things like, there were no planes in the Twin Towers.
And the dollar became the world reserve currency after World War II.
Yeah, dude, you can even start with the basics. Like, the Federal Reserve isn't federal, isn't a reserve run by the private industry, hasn't everything to the government, prints off debt-based bond that enslaves society according to the, removal from the gold standard, all part of the plan. But to start with, there was no planes. I still think that one's rough, dude. That turns off most people. Most people now won't believe anything you say, even if it makes total sense.
But I saw it on TV. Cohesive. I saw it on TV.
But like, the point of the communist ideological subversion that we've undergone as a nation for the past 20 years since 9/11 and repeated cycles of trauma, means that people actually can't take in new information. So to just blindside them with a cannon blast, like there's no planes there, is just, it's odd. It's like, I don't think it's an effective way for us to do it. And that's just my opinion. I get what you're saying, but like I've been a 0 success rate with that strategy, and maybe we should change it up.
When I can't get like I laid out, I'm like, okay, the Federal Reserve is a for-profit organization that serves the interests of the central banks, and people are like, okay, yeah, that's right, and I'm like, yeah, they own literally everything. BlackRock, State Street, Vanguard. You can objectively go and look at like all these Dow Jones companies are all owned by them. They brag about buying politicians for $10,000. It's just like, I don't know. It's not a free market. It's not, a democracy or whatever.
Yeah, but there's a big target of people who believe most of or some of the truth right now, who are like, things aren't exactly like adding up, with one eyebrow raised, right? People who are maybe still voting, who are thinking Trump's saving them, who are just realizing that Make America Great Again went real quick to make Israel great again. And they're like, this isn't quite what I voted for when I went into my little shower curtain and used my Israeli voting machine to choose between the two controlled parties. This isn't what I wanted. So there's a lot of people who are like open to truth right now. I think that's why the space thing kind of backfired, right? That one blooper, and they're like, wait a second, why would they fake that one time? And it's like, that's what we're saying,
Your conclusion was my premise.
Let me chat. Good night.
Later, bro.
Your conclusion is my premise. Yeah, it happens a lot, dude. It's like
Tay.
Yeah, the Taymeister is here. What's up?
Not much. What y'all doing?
There was talk of evolutionary science earlier, Taylor.
Ooh, I missed it.
Yeah, there was an experiment.
Really?
Nah, I never met her.
Of course not.
He's like, dude, somebody replicated abiogenesis in a lab. You missed it.
You missed it, Sailor. We all came from nothing. Some guy proved it while you were gone.
Man, totally missed it. You gotta invite him back.
Yeah.
I was reaching out to Modern Day Debate because I still have that presentation from whenever I presented on Aether Cause. And yeah, I want to go debate somebody on there.
Nice. Trying to crush? Respect.
Yeah.
Taylor, if you could find someone to debate, we're also hosting a debate platform.
Oh, really? Cool. Dude, that was cool, that debate the other day with the firmamentalist and Duffy. That was pretty cool. I at the last minute, I'm sure y'all saw me in the comments like, read my questions. Cause like I had all these questions for Duffy, and he was like only asking what was his name again? What's his name, Kingdom in Context?
Sean?
I don't know. He's Sean, yeah, okay, that's his actual name. And yeah, he just kept asking Sean questions. I was like, bro, you better not skip me. And he didn't. And the point was like the radio waves, like they're talking about like replicating things, like where's our map? Da da da. I'm like, dude, y'all haven't replicated so many things. Like, first of all, where's the replication for radio waves bouncing off of air in this ionosphere? Where's the replication for the different temperatures you get throughout the year, just from a small shift in the earth tilt? Like all of these different things. I haven't even been able to find a real world demonstration in proportion of eclipses. Like I cannot find it. People have told me it exists somewhere in the ether, but I can't find it. Just all these different things I cannot get a replication for. And they're like, oh, everything's modeled out, it's perfect. Like, since when? Where's it at?
Oh, Taylor, you may have been looking in the wrong ether section. I think you were looking in the Earth's velocity ether section. That one doesn't exist.
I just think it's funny they don't actually know anything about what they're saying. Like they'll just invoke orbital mechanics, right? Like, what do you know about orbital mechanics? Oh, the scientists say that's what makes the planets go around.
Dude, all I know is that it's perfect and it works every time, everywhere, for everything. But I don't know anything else about it, and I know that you're wrong.
Yeah, I got a video on that. Go check the math, bro. We'll talk it. We'll talk,
That is their position all the time. I don't know anything about it, but you're wrong and they're right, and it's perfect and it does everything, and it always has.
It works perfectly until we need to insert dark matter to make it still work perfectly again.
Dude, every time it doesn't work, we just add some math refractivity, some new coordinate systems, a new neural interface overlay. whatever the situation calls for. We're never wrong, and we can never be wrong, and relativity's perfect. So dude, it's so easy to have the belief that other smarter people have figured something out. So there's no need for you to understand it or even try. You can just, appeal to consensus and majority and be consoled in the fact that you have the truth with the majority of the dumbest people in the world.
Did you ever get to the bottom of that Coriolis, Taylor?
Yeah, there's a really cool video that David sent me about Flat Earth Dave. He was sending me about like magneto-electro-hydrodynamics or something like that. It's like a really long word. So basically it's like the electric fields and the magnetic fields can cause these same effects of the Coriolis effect, where you have like these clockwise and counterclockwise vortices, like what you expect like with the hurricanes and stuff. So, yeah, I mean, there's also papers on it too about how like the magnetic fields can actually affect things like gyroscopes. And yeah, I don't know. I think it's something with the magnetic field that can just totally explain these things. The wind patterns are crazy. This is something that I found recently. If you actually look in the wind patterns in like the South Pole versus the North Pole, they're actually really different. You see like a lot more wind in the South Pole, and it can actually start to swoop in and form these like vortices. And apparently that can happen if there's like a barrier. So it's like, when can vortices happen in like wind or water? And apparently one of the reasons is if it's hitting up against the barrier. And actually the patterns look similar to whenever water is going up and hitting a barrier and like rotating in on itself. So it's just really cool to see.
What I find equally conspicuous is that when you take a look at the layers of atmosphere, especially on your way down towards the Antarctic Circle, um, at one elevation, say 5 to 10,000 feet, you might find some massive air mass blowing to the west at 100 miles an hour. But up closer to 30,000 feet, you'll see another air mass blowing 200 miles an hour to the east over the same patch of land. And I'm really struggling to see how the Globie model can push that can produce that with all this alleged laminar friction between space and the surface of the Earth itself, spinning around 600 to 1,000 miles an hour around that kind of area, maybe 500 miles an hour underneath that. How that's supposed to produce that effect at two altitudes in opposite directions. I find that really just another big old point you can hand to a Globie and watch them bullshit their way through not answering it.
Oh yeah, this is correct. I'm looking at the wind patterns right now. I'm gonna go ahead and post this. You can just see how weird, like how much different it looks in the north and the south. It's so weird.
We had a guy on from the Weather Channel one time, and he was trying to talk about Coriolis, and turned out he had read a book a certain year in college and didn't remember much of it, but it still was totally a thing.
Dude, they start out so confident. There was this one guy who was like, "Nah, I know the Earth isn't a flat because I sailed around the world and I went at different speed." And the more you question him, it's like, "All right, well, I wasn't driving. All right, well, it was with my dad. All right, well, I was an infant and I was on his lap." And I was like, wait, that went from I was an expert sailed around the world to one day my dad took me in a boat. Like, get out of here. That's how most people start. I mean, that's how Globies start. We would never start a story confidently like that when we know the ending, right? That's silly.
Yeah, it'd be the first thing they'll say. I work for the Weather Channel.
What I mean is, I vaguely remember a college textbook where a paragraph talked about Coriolis.
He didn't even remember the book. Yeah, it was something like that.
But I think most people have, like, most Globies have that position. They're like, no, I know you're wrong because of this vague feeling of just far away knowledge that I thought I had at some point. Like, I think I fell asleep to a space documentary and I heard about galactic accretion. I'm pretty sure that's the truth or whatever.
So the only thing that plays an effect with the rotation of the Earth when the winds is whenever the wind moves from this is what they say, right? Whenever the wind moves from the equator to the poles, and then it gets like shifted because of the speed difference, because the rotation of the Earth. Um, so basically, if it's moving from like a larger radius to a lower radius, it's going to be deflected over. And so that's what they say like causes like the the clockwise and counterclockwise rotating storms and stuff like that. So that's the only place really where the Earth's rotation comes into play. But you would think like, okay, with that, wouldn't we have like higher winds like near the equator? But no, or like right above and below it. But no, that's not the case. You actually have the highest winds near the poles, in particular the South Pole. Some of the highest wind speeds ever documented were around the South Pole. And look, I just got these pictures. I'm gonna post them and just tell me what you think about them. Like, why is it so much different in the North and South Pole? I don't know.
Just as a raw figure, you would expect all wind at the equator to be easterlies. As I mean, hitting you face when you face the east, it's coming straight at you from the east, because that's allegedly the direction the Earth is spinning, and the air is at a larger radius. And simple physics, tangential momentum, all that cool stuff tells you that the stuff that's closer to the center of the radius is naturally going to spin faster. So the air is going to be left behind. We on the spinning Earth would perceive that as air being left behind, blowing us in the face from the east. Why isn't it always like that all the time, all the way around the equator? I mean, really, guys, let's ask the basic question and see what they say.
Stone, have you heard of atmospheric superrotation?
Oh no! Did they think it up in a
So,
superposition capable quantum computer?
so apparently at high altitudes, like at the highest altitude when there's like almost no atmosphere or whatever, that's spinning faster than than it should be to keep up with the Earth. It's spinning even faster, and there's no like proposed mechanism or anything. It's called atmospheric superrotation. Check it out. It's
Yeah,
insane. The
no
sky's
doubt
just
about it.
the guy's just up there spinning hella fast for some reason.
Well, damn, it ain't supposed to do that, is what the guy at NASA's gonna say. Is I can't help you after that, says the Globey.
Yeah,
Like,
they're just like, we don't know why it's happening. It violates all our known physics, but tomato
Therefore,
potato
quantum.
it's a globe though, so just like rest easy, boys. Hack it up.
So Shane or Stone or Alan, I mean, what's the deal with that quantum computer, man? I have so many people come into the spaces like, oh yeah, quantum computing is awesome, but like, is there any quantum?
Yeah,
Is there anything quantum about it?
no, not a single thing. So there's a really cool video by your girl Sabine Hoffenfelder who goes over the financial incentive to perpetuate quote unquote quantum computing. Now, the reason that all these projects end up failing, and you like when you look into them, right? Because if you look into those companies that Sabine list off, you'll see that but the reason why they failed is that it's like it's too hard to maintain superpositioning, and the reason that is it's because you have to maintain 0 Kelvin or whatever. Because if there's any ambient background heat, then that'll cause the wave function to collapse in their little quantum processor. What's the thing? Logic gate. It would be right is what they're like proposing. So if there's any ambient heat, the wave function collapses, right? So what you could do, there's an experiment that everyone likes to say proves quantum mechanics, and that's the double slit experiment. You could do the double slit experiment and introduce ambient heat to the light going through the slit, and you should be able to collapse that wave function, and it should make the particle pattern. And someone has actually done that. I have a video of it on my channel, and the particle pattern doesn't happen. It's never happened. There's no such thing as collapsing a wave function due to ambient heat that's retarded. If any of that worked, like interferometers wouldn't work, like everything that runs off of wave interferences wouldn't work. This is it's such a scam. It's crazy that like it's literally only perpetuated by the idea of just like the mythology of it really and big and funding. So like, yeah, check out Sabine's video. You'll see the financial incentive behind it, and then like mechanistically why none of these work out, right? It's because it's not real. There's no such thing as what they're proposing. It's always done through the regular on-off logic gate, right? So what they'll do, like if there's a YouTube channel called It's BS. If you go to that channel on YouTube, it's got a playlist for quantum mechanics, and part of what they do because like Google's proposed like, they published a paper recently and they were like, this is what we pulled out of our quantum computer thing that we made or whatever. And all they did was pull out a random string from a simulated data set. Like it has nothing to do with proving any, like, no, it has nothing to do with anything. It's all, it's so insane what they've done and like the marketing around it. It's just a giant scam. So yeah, when people talk about quantum computing, they're just like, they're hella buzzwording.
Dude, I have so many people who believe in this simulation matrix theory. They mix it all together with Schrodinger's cat to just, yeah, it's the crazy. There's no objective truth. It's this hive mind mentality, and like you can change reality. I don't know. It's wild, man.
I think that's a direct result of letting time travel happen in movies, right? Like the Avengers ruined a generation, dude. Because
so part of what they teach with quantum mechanics, right, is that light changes its behavior based off of an observer, which is what they'll try to use with the quantum eraser experiment. But all they do with that is they split an interference pattern between two detectors. So you get half of a reading and they're like, look, guys, light changed its mind and went back through the other slit. But if you combine the two detectors, guys, it makes the same pattern that it always makes. It never does the thing that they've built an entire branch of physics around, like a mythology around of interpretation.
Mythology is the right word, right?
Well, I need to go back and listen to this recording because I keep saying, "Oh, I know Alan says it's all bullshit," but I don't know what to tell him. So, thanks, Alan. I appreciate that.
No, you had it right there when you were merging over to the physical sense that in the binary world, superposition is logical nonsense.
Yeah, we have this.
You just cannot operate a system on that premise.
And like Shane said, there's like all these movies too where there's like 30 alternate, parallel universes, and it's just getting wild out there.
Yeah, man. Like space-time as a thing, allowing friends to believe that time is a dimension and extends a coordinate system that gives it reality and ties it to space, allows you to create Einstein-Rosen bridges and travel through alternate galaxies and different realities. Like that thing, that mythology is so damaging because people live in that reality. There's video game worlds that people don't ever come out of. There's books, there's magazines, there's online YouTube videos, there's just cartoons, there's anime. There's so much media that like lives in that world that nobody wants to give it up. So it's super dangerous to perpetuate that. That's all I'm thinking. It was hard to give up space. You guys remember? Star Wars was hard for me.
Guys, I just got a bunch of funding to build a quantum computer, and coincidentally, everything I just said about the wave function, I now disagree with, and I'm pretty sure it's real. I'm going to look into it and see if I can get 0 Kelvin maintained, lads.
Sounds like a hot consumer item.
Guys, I'm starting a new business of quantum computing. We're gonna go public soon. So if you guys want to invest or whatever before we open ground floor thing, financial scam, anyone wants in on it, hit me up. You guys like multi-level marketing scams? Oh, dude, that's what quantum computing is. If someone's like, oh, hey, a quantum computer, just be like, do you like multi-level marketing? Because you're at the bottom of it right now. You're trying to recruit me for nothing.
Ken, do you have your letter on you? Can I borrow it?
What are you talking? I can't hear shit.
Yeah, I got it.
Nice. So let's want to make sure.
I might have
TM, can you hear the boys?
There you go. Yeah, I hear you now.
So, which bar are you in tonight?
Talking to me?
No, TM calls us when he's drunk with his girlfriend out in a bar and stuff, and still tries to be part of the conversation.
He called us from Mexico one time in a fucking nightclub. He was like, boys, I fucking love you guys. You're the greatest.
No, I'll be right there. I'll be right there.
I'll be right there. Give me a minute. Classic TM.
Don't stop drinking. I'll be right there.
Can't miss my Flat Earth Fridays. What?
I did post the wind patterns up in the chat. And
Oh,
I just
nice.
got these. These are like current.
Dude, there should be a contest where you have to try to get Taylor off her goal of whatever she's trying to do, and if you stop her, you win, right? But there'll be a prize, and you have to get her to like change mental tracks on something, and I guarantee you'll lose.
Never met her, dude. She once thought about refraction for about 3 weeks straight.
Bro, I had to. That was the assignment, dude.
Assignment. You delegated
the
the assignment to
assignment.
8 people in those 3 weeks.
Yeah.
You tried to enlist everybody.
They haven't proved me wrong yet. I mean, I've went to head with Shoe Bill and Ruhif, and I'm just trying to get some answers, bro. Can't get them.
Oh, regarding the wind patterns stuff that you just posted, Taylor, I can tell you right now, the Globy response will be, yeah, but in the north, it's all land around the pole with a bunch of water and ice right at the pole. And then down south, it's no land all the way around it, but right at it, that's where Antarctica is, right at the pole. So yeah, the wind's going to be different. I can just hear it.
Why? Look, I'm sure they're gonna say, "Oh, well, it's gonna be because of, like, the sinking of the cold air off the Antarctic shelf, and that's gonna cause mixing." And I'm like, "Well, why isn't it like that in, like, Greenland, where they have, like, huge places that are full of ice year-round? Why doesn't that same effect happen?" It's actually some really weird effect that's going on in Antarctica where like the ground is like emanating cold air and it like never unfreezes. And it's like not like that anywhere else. Like it's kind of weird, but even with
Totally.
that, even with that, like if you're saying it's because like the wind's higher because like this cold air is like sinking, like then I mean, why is it that the wind patterns that we're seeing are still like over Antarctica and even places that don't have the shelf? I mean, it's just so weird. Even like the highest winds were actually around Antarctica. I don't know, it just makes no sense. And let me just make it known, another thing that they have not modeled out is the wind patterns or replicated. And nor have I seen like any sufficient explanation. I mean, like I just said, I just looked up what is their explanation and I just told you what it was, and I still don't feel like that's sufficient.
Can you
So
do them
wind
all a favor
patterns,
though?
yeah.
Post a reply to this where you just put your wins up, like reply to yourself, if you will, and put in the detail. Like you show these 2 patterns, but is this surface wind or wind at a certain elevation? You know what I mean?
Oh
And
yeah, let's
post
see.
that data, like what you're actually showing, because there are like
Okay.
30 different views you can get with this interface.
This is just the global animated wind pattern, current wind streamlines.
Okay, so
And
that's wind at the surface kind of thing,
I
and
get it's just
you're plotting wind
you know,
velocity and not temperature and that kind of thing.
it actually doesn't get much detail. It's just like the current wind speed. I guess it's on the man, I don't know. It doesn't specify. It just
Then
doesn't. I guess it comes from like windy.com, however that does it. But it's like a global projection, a global
All right.
view.
Check this out then, Taylor. Here's a site called bobwins.com that does everything. I just took a couple screenshots of the AE projection and then both sides of the globe with the data settings turned on so we can just show everyone and everyone can replicate it. And you got the top of the globe and the bottom of the globe orthographically. Oh, okay.
She's just not seeing that the interface key is the 3 lines to the right of the word Earth and the lower left of the screen. You bring that up to get the memory to get the menu open, and you can manipulate the variables and see which ones are being represented here. It's part of the interface. You got that, Taylor?
Oh, I'm not sure.
So go back to Null School rather, which is where this is from.
Okay. This is iWeather.net.
Okay, great. But
iWeather.
it's where you took the screenshot, right?
Uh-huh.
Okay, so in the lower left of the screen, it says Earth, and there's 3 lines.
Found it.
Click it.
Clicked it.
Big ass menu, right?
Mhm.
With all the variables and tells you exactly what you're looking at. So there you go.
It's
Now you're set.
surface. Yeah, you're
Yeah.
actually at the surface right here.
But
Now
they
you're
took
set.
the AE projection specifically out of that. It's like that's the purpose of Bob Wins, right? When they took it out, they recreated it over here because it showed things too visibly made cohesive. I don't know why they took it out.
See, now Taylor, you can actually check my assertions and plot or comparative screenshots, the stuff that's happening at 5 to 10,000 feet and the stuff that's happening at 25, 35,000 feet. They'll give both of those elevations by pressure actually are selectable, and compare and contrast those just in the same geographic area. Pick one of the two here, and yeah, you'll see what I'm talking about.
Yeah, that's really cool, Shane. Yeah, I mean, it's safe to say that the wind patterns are another thing that has not been modeled. I don't know. It's
Or
just
that
funny, like,
it doesn't have the global symmetry that they need, right? It should be the same in the north and the south, and that's one of the examples that very clearly is not.
yeah.
Globular symmetry, you say? Shane, do you mean like if I took an interferometer and put it at the corresponding latitude that, there was one in the north that measured a sidereal rotation, and I put one in the south, you're saying they should measure a variance at the same magnitude?
I mean, yeah, they should, right? Or inversely proportional to.
So you're saying if I if I slapped an interferometer down there at, like, say, in New Zealand or Australia, right there in the outback, right? And it gave a reading that was significantly larger, like in terms of the magnitude of the fringe pattern. What would that mean, you think, exactly? That the bottom of the ball is spinning faster than the top half of the ball?
So there's an ether wind in my globular Earth that actually accelerates it towards the south. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know what that would mean for them.
Yeah. Yeah, your boy non-reciprocal measurements or whatever.
It spins faster on the bottom because reasons and sphericity. It's tilted and the bottom spins faster. And that's what causes seasons.
How about that, dude? There was this I have to look at it again, but I think it was there's a modern project that's ongoing called the Ginger Project, and there's several observatories that are set up across the world. One of them's in Germany, there's one in Italy, and there's one in, I want to say, Australia or New Zealand, one of those southern places. And then so the South station, though, has to, like, relay all their data and, like, compare it to the northern latitudes, because all the northern observatories are around the 45th lattie. And then so anyway, what they're just, like, comparing the difference or whatever, and then adjusting their stuff to make it symmetrical for the project, because there should be no difference, but there's a difference.
Oh, you mean how they do for everything, including gravitational anomalies, mapping the southern hemisphere, cartography, like literally everything.
Clearly everything ever, always. Yeah, that.
Hey Shane, didn't he challenge you to something?
Never met her.
Tab blocked. Yeah.
What was it going to be about?
Dude, unless you can fill in the rest of that blank, I don't know.
Okay, I'll go check it out. Yeah, didn't he had challenged you to some debate or something?
Oh yeah, no, I think if Ken put out that you'll debate maps, it's like, nah, crazy psychos are excluded, dude. That dude's retarded. That's not even a real challenger. Like that would be worse than FTFE.
Yeah, we'll delegate the fate of the globe to Morty on this one. I don't think.
Way better
Did he
opponent.
say he would rather debate a booger eater?
No. No, dude, Mortal One's like he's probably one of the better ones, dude. He's a good opponent. I'd rather debate him. He's gonna come into our home base and go through literally the boss room and go into everyone's strongest things for all the circumstances where everything is in it. He's gonna go and debate everyone on their strongest topics and then leave. He did it the first time like ages ago and he got his ass kicked. So maybe he's like progressed, did his montage, did some training, spoofed up, and now he's coming back for the big boss round where he's gonna take us all down.
Ooh, Rocky training montage.
Yeah, no, he's gonna take out the champ.
The eye of the tiger.
You get a lot of things done in a little bit of time with a montage. Yeah.
Montage.
The first day he came in all super strong, having only talked to flat earthers in YouTube
Dude,
comments.
bro, Lily cooked him. Lily cooked him, bro.
He was so confident and then just got stonewalled and then came up against AI. Lily cooked him. Lily was kicking him on the ground after he had already been beat up. He was laying there limp and Lily was just like kicking him in the head. But like he like everything he knew was wrong. He tried to go through everywhere and like he kept the confidence while being wrong the whole time, which is the part that I don't get. The very first time that I'm super sure and then immediately wrong, I'm like, ooh, let me think about some stuff. Hold on, let me double check my positions on some things. Let me
Confidence
think about
gets shook a little bit.
Let me think about how I'm putting forth some arguments. Like, no, just confidently go to the next thing, not even caring. Like that, you crazy. And he just got plowed, and so now I think maybe he's going to come back and try it again.
Nice. Well, good luck.
Honestly, he's not a bad debater. Like he interrupts, but compared to the FTFE, my God, at least the dude prepares and does research. Dude, I think if you would have separated him from Peter, you would have had a much better debate with him on relativity too. Peter was just
I warned him. He rolled the dice. Yeah. He learned.
Yeah, that was a bad decision.
Like, what's our strat, partner? Well, our position is their position, but slightly different.
Okay, new game. You shut up. I'll talk. That's what should have happened.
Real quick, there's nothing about the sunlight becoming dimmer at sunset because of the angle at which is hitting your eye and less photons are being received. There's no credibility towards that, is there?
Never met her.
Because you're looking. This is when I first got into the flat Earth conversation. Peter, he like one-on-one, he like drugged me into his own space and tried to like say that the sun gets dimmer at sunset because of the angle at which you're looking at it and you get less photons. I'm like, bro, you're looking right at the sun, whether it's up in the sky or at sunset. I mean, you're looking right at it.
I was like, is that an attempt to explain twilight and dusk and stuff or something? Like, hey, this is why we get a little bit longer twilight in the southern summer, because that's a pretty funny non-symmetry issue as well. Twilight times and dusk times vary with the latitude dependency in the seasons, right? It's like, hey, in the north, the sun sets and then it's dark, or and in the south, the sun sets and then it's dark, and then it takes a long time in the south. Quicker in the south, I mean, and it takes a long time in the north, depending on the season, right? Do longer twilight. That shouldn't happen, or it should happen exactly the same amount at the same latitude in the south, and it definitely doesn't.
Yeah, I think you're giving Peter a little too much credit. I don't think that's what he was going for.
Yeah, probably not. He's probably just... That guy used to just talk. The first time he got stood up, he made an argument and was like, "Oh, I guess I'm wrong." He just started repeating stuff, saying words, repeated like ether, density, vortex every time anyone said. Like he was so all put off his element and scared to be in a question that he just tried to play off everything everyone said. And it was the most it was the saddest thing I've ever seen an adult male do. So I've never had respect for Peter after that.
Is Peter one that's confused about the lab frames? You remember that, Shane, during that debate?
I mean, he was confused about everything, so I'm not even sure he had a cohesive position. I had to wait for Mortawan to argue what their plan was for me to understand what they had done in the first place. I was like, what retarded etherist position is this with globularity? They took the position that space-time was ether or something. It was so retarded.
I remember Peter had a PowerPoint presentation at the beginning.
Dude, why can Globers never put on good presentations? Dude, maybe remember that one guy that put on the presentation that was like, "You guys are all Samuel Robothamists because of
Oh
X
my
and this."
god, dude!
And here's your face on a stick figure of this dude giving the other thing. You're like,
Bro, we had to wait like 45 minutes for that freaking guy. That was so ridiculous. He was like, no, I really want to go through my Prezi. I'm like, all right, well, maybe he's got some evidence. We'll get through it. I was like, there was,
respect the Prezi.
there was I was like, I'll put in some time for mine. So I respect that. Let the man get his Prezi on, dude. What? I was like, how do I get my time back?
Why did every Glober Prezi suck like that? Did I want to see the one where like, oh damn, oh that's hard for me to answer. I feel challenged. Like,
I remember you and Alan were just rattling stuff off, and then Peter is reading off of his like bullet points in PowerPoint like it's like 7th grade again. It's like, what's going on here?
Let me refer you to my page 2 of my PowerPoint slide where I can reaffirm my point. It's funny because in a debate, like they have tactics. Like John, PhD John, his tactic is just to repeat his dumbass point that he wrote. He'll just repeat it and repeat it and repeat it, but do so painstakingly slow with his condescending tone to the point where if he doesn't goad you into some sort of emotional response, he wins by eating up all of the talk time anyway. And all anyone ever hears is him, right? That's a very effective tactic. You don't converse like that, so it's not even, we don't even think of like moves and tactics like that. We're just like, oh, I want to argue the truth and improve my position.
I'm well aware of that. In my spaces, they just want to talk and talk and talk, and if I ever mute them, they'll let me know about it for sure.
Oh, instant win. All right, I got muted by a flat earth. I never got to listen to another one. I know I'm right forever. Belief confirmed. That is funny, dude. Most people they're not looking for the truth, right? That's why we disagree with them so vehemently. They're looking to be reassured that what they already believe is the truth, right? Like that's why they have this social group with anti-flat earthism, which is like a social sort of like epidemic, like just this disorder probably, right? Where you like seek this gratification and you try to just congratulate each other how smart you are without doing any work and appealing to everyone else's credentials. Like it doesn't matter if you're right, it only matters that everyone else agrees with you.
You guys got to go check out Facebook, dude. If you haven't, it's pretty wild because there's not many flat earthers, and the Globers, they're like piranhas over there.
Dude, Facebook seems like I'm on there now. It seems to be divided into like groups, special. So it's like little group bubbles that have all these members with like 10, 20, 30,000, and you have to get into the groups to start seeing the posts to contribute to the debate. And I think you have to be like approved into groups. I think that's really gay.
Yeah, that's exactly how it is. And if you can get kicked out of the groups really quickly as a flat earther if you say, "Oh, you're stupid." Yeah, everyone there is, doing way worse.
Damn. All right. Well, I didn't know any of that, but yeah, that's how it looks like, and so that sucks if that's the case. Dude, this McBooger Eater meme is doing really well. I didn't expect everyone to hop on the Booger Eater train. That came together really nicely, though. Someone already made like the meme action figure meme.
Dude, I think perpetuating FTFE, we all lose, right?
Yeah. Yeah, but I did like 3 posts about it, so now it's like staining my timeline, and every time I scroll through it or on it, it's his face now.
Yeah,
I think I lose.
You played yourself, player.
Yeah. Damn.
You think your boy started a stream and just accidentally ate his boogers? You got viral marketing strategy, brother.
I think the second he got caught, he went, "Fuck it, you did it." Like you Like, you know what kind of person does that? Like, if you're in an elevator with one other person and then you crank a dirty fart and then you look that person in the eye and you tell them that you did it. Like, it wasn't me. Like, what? What kind of a person would try that?
One of my favorite part of the footage is it says live on air and neon sign behind them.
Yep. Dude, one of the memes has a cane and it says cane that he used to defend his wife's bike thief from. And I thought that was the funniest thing I'd ever seen. He's picking his nose with his pinky. I'm sorry, I'm still talking about him. Alan's right.
Yeah. Just we're all losing.
He's getting jacked up at the gym, that's for sure.
What's Brian doing? Is he asleep now? You guys have been in here since like 7 this morning or what? What's going on?
Yeah. For 11 o'clock, I think, for Brian.
It was 9 for him, 12 Eastern.
Damn.
Yeah, I think there's a new argument they're trying to work up with gyro compasses, but not the new ones with the ring laser gyro, but the old ones with the actual gyros.
Oh,
Okay.
dude, you'll never believe what I just found.
What'd you find?
Proof of Earth spin?
No, a bunch of Aether gyro compass related stuff, I think. Or was that Taylor?
That's pretty funny.
I can't remember. Or no, Taylor led me to a bunch of stuff that led to that or something. Can't remember. But anyway, I just found a bunch of gyro compass stuff that I have to read through.
I was gonna say, you know what I can boast blindly about is typically when they go to bring evidence, when they're sure that it supports them, if we look into it a little, it always supports us and doesn't support them. So I was just gonna say that maybe that'll happen again, and Alan already came in with the affirmation. So
I'm kind of want to know more about that, Ken, with the mechanical gyros. I heard what was it? Tomfoolery last night. And I've heard the argument, but don't they like start pointing north after a certain time, and that proves that somehow the Earth's spinning? What's going on there?
Hell, I don't know. All I know is he said that they crank it up. It detects the Earth's rotation and aligns with its axis. And so I just took that one simple claim that he made, and I said, okay, well, I need you to explain to me exactly how it detects Earth's rotation. And he kind of acted like, oh, well, it precesses because the Earth's rotating. I said, no. I'm asking you how exactly it's Earth's rotation that it detects and not any other rotation that might be going on. And he said, well, it has to be because it can't be anything else.
that's a good position. Dude, it has to be aligned to the source of the rotation, right? Which is the latitude dependent pole, even on flat Earth. Remember how the center of rotation on the sky drifts with you as you go from the North Pole to the equator to where it's not visible anymore, right? From your zenith to about the horizon. If it's at 45 degrees, right? Halfway there, that's where it dips. It has to be aligned to that center of rotation. So they're just saying that that's Earth spin and boom, right? Done. That's the argument.
Yeah, that was pretty much it. He was like, well, do you have an explanation for what else it could be? I said, well, I can speculate. I said, what if it's ether rotation? And he didn't like that one
Okay, it's
because
the hardest not speculate, dude. You can lay out hard fact with that one.
and then he said, oh, the reason it can't be the ether, according to him, is because if the ether would affect the spin, then the gyro is not maintaining rigidity in space, whatever that means. I mean, I told him, I said, well, if the Earth rotation can affect its, cause it to precess. So why couldn't another force like the ether rotating cause it to precess? Well, if the ether did that, then it's not maintaining rigidity in space. Okay, whatever.
Says who?
Oh, Tom Pool.
NASA.
This Guy McGuyerson? No way. You guys, you know what? You know what? It's crazy. Like there's like this big mystery in mainstream physics about like the source of inertia, and like the primary schools of thought are the mass distribution of the universe is bending space-time in such a way that it's producing the laws of physics, and the other one was that relative motion with respect to the mass of the distant stars is doing it, which is kind of the same thing. Or there's just there's just ether around us, like when you're in water, like when you're in a pool and you have to, there's like resistance to the water that you have to, like that initial resistance to get moving. Or that's the source of it, maybe, not the stars or the mass distribution of the entire universe bending space and time.
Isn't that the Machian principle?
Well, that would be Einstein's. The other one, relative motion with respect to the distant stars, was Mach's.
Yeah, because he didn't like the ether, so I said, well, you could go with the Machian principle, and he says nobody uses that.
Literally the backbone of general relativity.
Dude, there's so many measurements that prove that actually it's not Earth spin because it can't be caused by a uniform rotating sphere because it changes at latitude at the same elevation or a different elevation at the same latitude. It just cannot be caused by a uniform rotating sphere. So for them to claim that as Earth spin evidence is preposterous. Like you can't. How could you say that literally can't be caused by your thing, and you're saying it's proof of your thing?
Wait a minute. So you're saying that if you have a gyro compass in a plane, it's going to be different than a gyro compass on a ship? Did you say elevation?
Yeah, I was talking about the general ether wind. I wasn't talking about the effect on a gyro compass. I forgot what we were talking about. Sorry.
I think you're talking about different latitudes, maybe with having the different readings.
Yeah, the general ether, like the variation in the speed of light gets faster the higher you go up, which was what Banks Bob was all about, which is what interferometry measures, which is what Dayton Miller corroborated, which is what Gallo and the newer people corroborated, which is all related. That's what I was talking about. But I'm sure there's probably some correlation with a gyro compass, but we haven't actually seen evidence of a gyro compass doing anything for us to debunk yet.
Yeah. So in addition to that, real quick, there's 2 YouTube channels that from flat earthers that made a series of gyro compass videos, and they could never get it to maintain the precession rate that they say, that 15 degree per hour. And then Jesse bought an old one or whatever out of a plane, and like 2 minutes into the video or 8 minutes or something like that, it starts it starts having an anomalous precession, and he's like, oh yeah, this is an older model, it has a it has like a defect or whatever, a defect precession. Like what? Does that sometimes. Like what? Like yeah, it just has another dude, okay. So like we're not even sure this is like does it even do it that way?
Yeah, I've never seen evidence that it does it to even have to defend it.
Like maintaining rigidity, sure. But like, is your precession doing this for realsies?
Ring laser gyro is the one they usually go to.
So anomalies are cool in his experiments, just not Mike Heffron's got it.
Yeah.
Yeah, he hand waved the shit out of that. That's a pretty good example.
If it's anomalous, should we throw it out? Yeah, dude, we should just toss out every ring laser gyro because they had to invent a fucking Kalman filter to reset everything because there's a fucking drift that happens anomalously that just, fucks everything up.
That is kind of what they did. They were like, so GPS is going to work in a frame of reference. We're going to invent specifically negate this effect and then tell everyone that it's not there. What do you guys think? You guys down with the plan? I'm going to call it the ECI frame. We're going to move everything through it.
We got a globetrotter in the listener section. If you want to come grab a mic.
Is that a fact?
A Harlem Globetrotter, you say? That's one of the best evidences for the existence of a globe. If the Harlem Globetrotters exist, how could the Earth be flat, boys? I think about that for a minute. Let me know your answers.
No, Globy.
Come on, Alt 64. Just entertain us, man. We haven't had a glober all day. We'll be really nice.
Are you sure that the Earth spins? Are you confident that the sunset is actually not the apparent motion of the sun, but the Earth spinning beneath your feet?
Is that globe perspective I see down there in the audience? Is that Glober Dave?
Dude, you know what's funny? That in all the equations for satellites and how GPS works, no one ever actually takes into account Earth's motion around the sun, just whipping across, as the solar system is whipping across, following as the sun is whipping to follow the black hole around the middle of the solar system. None of the equations take into account that ridiculous whipping motion, but it's definitely there, and you'll have to believe us, but nothing that we do ever accommodates it.
Nor doth they account for the gravitational potential difference when the Earth is, perihelion and aphelion. So like the atomic clocks would have a different precession rate to them because they're experiencing more or less of the sun's gravitational field. But that's not even, turns out, guys, they only account for not that. Oops.
And that guy left right after I said that.
Straight bounced, huh? Ruined his night, bro.
I couldn't even listen to you guys talk about satellites.
Well, isn't that funny though? Like it's the tiniest motion in the Earth spin is what they're claiming, and they don't have to accommodate that because the ECI framed that away to melt the difference in the east-west differential speed of light at c plus v to accommodate that. So that frame takes care of that. But then they're like, the thing that's much bigger than that, like orders of magnitude larger and should be having a greater effect on your instrumentation, predictions, planning, and calculations is the Earth's whipping around the sun at 66,600 miles an hour. You were trying to account for, let's see, if you do it in fringes, you were trying to account for 6 to 7 fringes, and you're looking for them 30 fringes, right? Whatever, 30 kilometers a second versus 6 kilometers a second. You guys can't be swapping that out,
All right, I got a question. If you go to the equator and you look up, do the stars actually go in opposite directions? I mean, that's what they say, right?
No, they go directly overhead from east directly to west if you're on the equator.
Okay.
Equidistant.
If you look to the poles in either direction standing on the equator, you'll see the standard semicircle of travel. The axis will be pretty much on your horizon.
Do you guys know what star trail, time lapses I'm talking about, though?
That's what I'm referring to.
Okay.
Well, there's a couple that use a weird 360 camera and show you both directions at once, and it's confusing. I don't know if he's looking at some of those.
Yeah, gigantic fisheye lenses. 360-degree Insta360 cameras. You bet.
Yeah, because then they show it going both. It's weird. It's very off-putting, and you might this. I don't know. I think it's misleading to do that.
Yeah,
it might lead you to the conclusion that you live on a ball.
It's not the equidistant star trails you would expect to see at the equator
Guys,
that all the models show.
They should put a little disclaimer in telescopes, beware. You look into the sky with this, you may start thinking you also live on a ball.
Dude, if you go into Stellarium and you pop it out to like orthographic perspective, that gives you a pretty good indicator of what it looks like everywhere.
So is Stellarium right, Shane?
Yeah, dude, like 100% of the time. I've never found it wrong about almost anything yet.
What the ruck?
Speaking of Dave, did you see what he posted in the main chat on Discord 4 minutes ago? It's exactly the moment when I interrupted Mordwand. Put to meme. Beautiful.
Translated into meme form.
Spectroscopy is a baseless, based on terrestrial spectroscopy. They know, well, they don't actually know what the gas composition is. They can go to something on Earth that they use terrestrial spectroscopy on, confirm their predictions, adjust the hypothesis. How right was I? How much hydrogen is here? For stellar spectroscopy, they literally just guess while looking through all of the terrestrial spectroscopy and gases that they know are there, because they just tested it all to see all the experiments. So they're looking through all the known dense gas that they know is there to detect further dense gas that they can't really see through tiny microns of light through the whole process is retarded. That's how we know what the sun is.
So are you saying we can't use the how right I am coefficient?
Well, anyone who brings up stellar spectroscopy probably doesn't understand that process, because I haven't heard it defended even from our buddy Professor Parks, which is where I got that differentiation from. And he agreed immediately. He's like, yeah, we can't confirm it, but we're probably right because of all this stuff. And I was like, that's, I guess, okay. All right. He was like, yeah, this in isolation, sure, you can't confirm, but we got all this other evidence where we know we're right. And I was like, okay.
All right, lads and ladettes. I'm going to wrap up for the evening. I'm going to retire to the Discord and play a game of code names with the lads and ladettes later.
Oh, bitches. Nice. So glad you were recording tonight so I can turn Dave's meme into a short video. That's just priceless.
Nice. Make sure you include me playing RuneScape in the background. Otherwise, it's not going to have the same effect. All right. Have a good night, everyone. Be sure to tune into Glowbusters on the 27th. We're taking Easter Sunday off. Shane's going to be doing a Prezi on the sky clock and the old turtle in the sky, as they call it. That'll also be on this Tuesday, I believe, as well, Shane, right?
Yeah, this Tuesday, the dry run on Aether Cups, and then the refined Glowbusters Prez by Sunday when I put more work into it.
Nice, nice. So check those out.
The turtle in the sky. I love that.
Yeah. Brian, TM, Ken, thanks for hosting the space, as always, holding it down in the streets.
Yep.
I guess.
Brian's awake.
Yeah, thank you for
there he is.
Yeah, I kind of dozed off there a little bit.
We figured.
Yeah. Sit there and rest my eyes for a second, and it's like, gotta go, guys. I'm like, what?
Alan's loud ass woke you up. Perfect.
I started speaking loud to see if I could wake him up.
It worked, man.
Yeah. All right, later, lads. Catch you guys on the Fleazy.
Yeah, right on, man. See you then.
Shout out.
All right. YouTube lads. The same applies. We're heading off to Discord to hang out and play some code names. If you would like to join us, the link will be provided. Here we go.